Good afternoon, hockey fans. Hey, what is going on? It is your host, Neil Villapiano, and welcome to a very special live stream. Let's call it stream today here on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. Today, we are, well, at least in my area, it is currently just after noon here on the East Coast. We are about 3 hours away from the end of the NHL trade deadline, and this is our NHL trade deadline special live stream. So for basically the next 3 hours, we are going to be continuously looking on to see what trades end up happening between now and the deadline, and we are going to be doing. So I have Elliot Friedman, Frank Saravalli, and Pierre LeBrun's Twitter accounts up. I'm going to do my best to try to give you guys the most up-to-date when we get it. I also have here, while watching it on ESPN+, I'm watching TSN's stream of Trade Center. So this is going to be very interesting. And ladies and gentlemen, we've already had a bunch that has happened in the last couple of hours. It started off very quietly, and then we move on forward from there. And now things have picked up, certainly within the last hour. My good friend Josh Deming, who is in the chat currently right now, he asked me if I wanted to come on and jump on. And since I have a lot of time on my hands today, I think it was appropriate for me to do this. So again, guys, thank you so much as always for hanging out with us here on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. This live watch along live stream and everything we do here at the Hockey Podcast Network are sponsored by the awesome people at DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure you guys use the promo code when you sign up for DraftKings, THPN. These streams are also comment driven. If you have a comment, question, anything like that, let me know in the chat and I'll share it here on the stream. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and punch notification bell so you don't miss any new live watch alongs that we do here on the Hockey Podcast Network. So let's go through some of the trades already here before I get to your guys' comments. So let's start off with basically, let's actually update this a little bit, shall we? So now we go to today, and we've already had several. We've already had several within the last couple of days. So this is kind of the trade tracker. So I guess we'll kind of go through some of the more interesting ones. Since obviously the biggest one, the first one that really kind of came to my mind was a couple days ago. Tampa Bay Lightning acquired forward Brandon Hagel, 4th round pick in 2022, and a 4th round pick in 2024. From the Blackhawks in exchange for forwards Boris Tkachuk, Taylor Radish, and 2 conditional first-round picks. Yeah, that is honestly one of the strangest offers I've ever seen for a guy who's a bottom 6 forward. But it looked like to me that Hagel was going to be a guy that was going to end up being a piece for the Blackhawks for long-term when it comes to their rebuild. But it ended up not being the case. So that's kind of the I guess it's kind of situation. And speaking to some people in the Blackhawks community, it certainly sounds like that that the Blackhawks are happy and also kind of surprised that they got that big of an offer, but I guess it kind of works out that way. So I'm actually going to mute this really quickly here as I flipped over to ESPN, the points deadline special. They have Ryan Callahan, Kevin Weeks, Emily Kaplan, Butcha Gross, and also Tortorella doing this. So obviously we'll be able to get up-to-date things. But that's kind of the first major move. Boston Bruins acquired Hampus Lindholm from the Ducks in exchange for John Moore, Urho Vakanainen, and 3 draft picks. And also the Boston Bruins ended up extending or signing Lindholm to a new contract for 7 years at a decent AAV. So obviously the Bruins will have Lindholm for a pretty long time moving forward. And then we got the big one. We got the big one back on Saturday. The Florida Panthers acquired former captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, Claude Giroux, Connor Berneman, and German Rubtsov, and a 5th round pick in 2024 from the Flyers in exchange for Owen Tippett, a 1st round pick in 2024 or 2025, and a 3rd round pick in 2023. So Owen Tippett was kind of the big piece that ended up getting moved with regards to being the big piece that goes over to Philadelphia. So obvious, and he was held out of the last minor league game, so that kind of showed that he was going to get on the move. So there was that. Couple of other moves, Robert Hagg from Buffalo to Florida, Travis Hamonic going to Ottawa from Vancouver, Troy Stecher going to LA from Detroit, Travis Dermott, kind of a surprising one here, Dermott going to Vancouver from the Leafs in exchange for a third-round pick because the Toronto Maple Leafs made a big move yesterday acquiring now former captain of the Seattle Kraken, Mark Giordano, and forward Colin Blackwell, who will be a good addition on the bottom six, from Seattle in exchange for a second-round pick in 2022, a second-round pick in 2023, and a third-round pick in 2024. And then we got Nick Paul from Ottawa, going to Tampa from Ottawa for Matthew Joseph at a fourth. I think that's honestly one of those moves that ends up working out for both teams, so that's kind of a good thing with regards to that. I kind of like the move from the standpoint of just the fact that, you get a guy like Nick Paul who can really help be like one of those, bottom six type players and things like that. So that kind of works out. Matthew Joseph, a young guy that can fit into the core with Ottawa. So I think that's kind of a move that works out, all together. Some other moves here. Former New Jersey Devils goaltender Scott Wedgewood, he actually ends up going from Arizona to Dallas in exchange for a fourth-round pick in 2023, meaning most likely you're going to end up seeing Braden Holtby be put on long-term IR. Wedgewood going to his third team this season, being passed around like a joint. So you love to see it. The Washington Capitals are making a reunion as Marcus Johansen is going from Seattle back to Washington for forward Daniel Sprong, a fourth-round pick in 2022, and a sixth-round pick in 2023. And so basically with that is simply that the Seattle Kraken are just trying to gain as many assets as possible draft-wise in order to continue on to building their team. So that's kind of the moves. We'll get to some of the other big ones in a moment, I promise, but let's get to some of the comments here. What's going on, Josh? Josh says, what's up, Neil? Thoughts on the Fleury trade? Yes, indeed. We did have the Marc-Andre Fleury trade. It did officially happen. It was something that I think was to be expected, but let me pull up the official details of it if I can find it. So here we go. As I'll quickly stop sharing this screen. We'll go to, let me see if I can find it here. We'll go to, where is Frank Saravalli? There we go. So now we got Frank Saravalli here. Give it a second. It's kind of loading. My screen may have frozen for a second there. I do apologize. So this is strange. If my screen is frozen, guys, I do apologize for this. It's just not responding the way that I want it to. So I may have to exit out and come back in if I do get the chance. So if I do have to do that, I do apologize for this. It's kind of just out of my control a little bit with my screen acting up. I don't know what to do. So we have to exit out. Close program. Yeah, I have to. Sorry about that, guys. My internet is actually really screwing with me right now, so I really apologize for the inconsistency. But again, like I said, I will do my best to continue to do what I can. The Chicago Blackhawks did indeed trade Marc-Andre Fleury to the Wild. They are going to receive a conditional second-round pick in 2022, and most likely Marc-Andre Fleury will waive his no-trade clause and head on over to the state of hockey. So that's going to be a very big pickup. And I will say this about the Marc-Andre Fleury move. I had said this numerous weeks ago that honestly, when you look at the fact that the Wild's goaltending has been questionable with Cam Talbot and Kaapo Kahkonen, it looked like that they definitely needed to make an upgrade. And Marc-Andre Fleury, you knew he was most likely going to be available with Chicago not going anywhere this year in the playoffs and things like that. So you end up having a situation where Minnesota doesn't have to give up a whole lot for a guy that's going to be playing for basically the rest of the season. Blackhawks are going to retain 50% of his salary. So that's obviously another plus for Minnesota. And they get the defending, the reigning Vezina Trophy winner. And you look at the Wild right now, they're in third place in the Central Division, certainly on their way to most likely making themselves a playoff run. They definitely want to try to make as long of a run as they can. And I don't know if that's going to be the last move that Minnesota makes, but it's certainly going to be the biggest one. And so Fleury is going to be ending up being traded for the second time this season, as he went from Vegas to Chicago and now to Chicago to Minnesota. So obviously, you're going to be seeing a lot more of some of the other young guys for the Blackhawks when it comes to their goaltending situation. What's going on, Danelle? Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well today. Good to see you as well, Andrew. Are you shocked that Fleury got traded to the Wild from the Blackhawks in the division? No, because basically what I said before about just everything like that, it honestly is not a surprise to me that the Blackhawks end up moving him, even though it's within the division. It's probably the best offer they could have gotten, and they ended up doing it. Andrew says it's crazy so far. It certainly is, Andrew. It certainly is. Let's see here. The big trades right now is Giroux heading to Florida and Giordano heading to the Leafs. Also, like I said, Marc-Andre Fleury going to the Minnesota Wild. Also, Kahkonen, who was one of the two goaltenders for the Minnesota Wild, he actually ended up being traded just a few moments ago for a 5th-round pick to San Jose. So there's that. We also saw that Jake DeBrusk has signed a 2-year extension, a 2-year contract extension that'll begin next year. But it's most likely that he still will end up being moved before this deadline is over. And so when you look at it from the Jake DeBrusk situation, at least it just makes it easier for teams to want to acquire him because he has term on his deal. So I think he'll actually end up getting some more interesting suitors over the next couple of hours. Let's see here what's going on. Josh says, good, man. I feel like Edmonton could have used Flower. They could have. Josh says, like the stream, friends. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Make sure to leave a like on the stream. Would really appreciate it. Jake DeBrusk, 2-year extension with the Bruins. Annual salary cap hit of $4 million, so he's making $8 million over the next 2 years. So that's a pretty decent amount of money to give him. So that's something to keep in mind when anybody makes a move for him. But again, Hampus Lindholm going to Boston from Anaheim. The Ducks receive a 1st-round pick this year, 2022, 2003 second rounder, and a 2024 second-round picks and 2 defensemen. Big time move for the Boston Bruins. Neil says, nice Devils Cup show again, Neil. Not sure exactly what that means now. If you could be a little more specific. Andrew says Devils need to get traded. Yeah, I've said this about from just talking about the Devils since obviously I cover the Devils here on the Hockey Podcast Network. The thing about it is simply that the Devils don't really have a whole lot of assets to go around. Subban's contract is way too much for anybody to be interested unless the Devils take up 50 or even 75% retained salary. Even then, it's probably unlikely he gets moved. Jimmy Vesey, honestly, is probably not going to be making a whole lot he's not going to be gaining a whole lot of interest either. So those are kind of the moves that the Devils could make when it comes to UFAs. They could still move Pavel Zacha, so that's a possibility. Other than that, unless the Devils try to go get a goaltender to play out the rest of the season with John Gillies, I don't expect the Devils to make any sort of major moves today. But I will do my best to do, let's see here. To do what I can. So again, I look at it and they say Sharks acquire Kahkonen from the Wild for defenseman Jacob Middleton. So that's another part of it that they made. Jimmy Vesey is out of the Devils practice with a non-COVID illness. That does not mean he's kept out for, what do they call it? For precautionary reasons. So that's, again, I don't expect the Devils to do a whole lot. Let's see here. John says, Leafs have no goalie. Well, they did put Peter Mrazek on waivers. Most likely he's going to end up not getting picked up by anybody. He's probably going to go down to the minors or whatever the case may be. They also put another goaltender on waivers. They do have, Andrew's right, they do have Killigan. They do have Killigan, who has looked pretty good so far since he got there. But obviously you know that Jack Campbell's going to be coming back soon. And look, the problem with if Toronto was going to go after Marc-Andre Fleury is that you have 2 number 1 goaltenders right there. You have a guy in Jack Campbell who's going to be looking for a big money deal in the offseason, whether it's from Toronto or someone else. And you got Marc-Andre Fleury, who probably doesn't want to have to share the net with somebody again like he did when he was in Vegas. He wants to be the number 1 guy. Going to a place like Minnesota makes him that number 1 guy with Cam Talbot being the backup. And now with Talbot being the backup, that's honestly not that bad of a move. It really isn't. It really isn't that bad to have him there. So that's kind of the good thing. The Bruins, by the way, first wild card. They're 11-2-1 in their last 14 games. 18 of their 20 remaining games are against the Eastern Conference. So it's more of a matter of where they're going to end up finishing with regards to playoff seeding. Other than that, they should be totally fine. But I think the Maple Leafs are wise to just keep Killian, move on from Mrazek if you can, and then just wait on Jack Campbell to get back because he should be back relatively soon. Danelle says, okay, locally, do you see the Rangers, Islanders, or Devils doing any moves today? With regards to the Rangers, they're an interesting team because the question is, how much of their future are they willing to give up to try to make a deep run this year? Do they feel like this is a year where they can make a deep run and they want to do that? Or do they feel that they still need to add some more pieces and they don't want to necessarily, get rid of the core that they have right now? That is a very, very interesting question when you look at the whole grand scheme of things. So that's something to keep in mind. With regards to the Rangers, they did get Frank Petrano last week from Florida, so that's at least something. They could be still on Andrew Kopp, as far as I know. Winnipeg is still potentially looking to move him, so there's something to keep in mind with that. Other than that, and also, could the Rangers end up moving Alexander Georgiev? He had a phenomenal game last night, getting a shutout against the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know. By the way, guys, the Hampus Lindholm contract extension that he got from the Bruins is 8 years, $52 million, $6.5 million cap hit through 2029-30, full no movement clause through 2026-27. So they basically did what is called a sign and trade or a trade and sign eventually, and they were able to get him. So that's that. And then with regards to Jake DeBrusk, I still think he ends up getting moved. It's just a matter of where he ends up going when this one is all said and done. So it's very, very interesting. But going back to this question that Danelle put out, with the Islanders, there isn't a whole lot for them to move either. And this is a year where, unfortunately, they were supposed to make a long run into the playoffs, considering what they've done the last 2 years. And unfortunately, they did not. But I could see them moving a guy like maybe Andy Green or Cal Clutterbuck, guys that are towards the end of their careers and maybe get some late round picks to put them on, contending teams. That's possible. But other than that, I don't think the Islanders do a whole lot. And then with the Devils, like I said, other than probably trying to acquire somebody that could potentially help them the rest of this season and moving forward, I don't see the Devils doing anything. So the Rangers out of these three teams now are probably the most likely it's going to do anything. But again, it may be a very, very quiet trade deadline for teams in the New York metropolitan area. Leafs won't beat Tampa Bay Lightning. John, I agree with that because the Tampa Bay Lightning are the team to beat, and the Leafs have yet to get out of the first round of the playoffs. Until proven otherwise, I kind of agree with you on that. So there's something to keep in mind with that. Again, I'm also watching The Point, ESPN's NHL trade deadline special. So I'm kind of watching that because for some reason Trade Center here on ESPN Plus is not working, but whatever. The Islanders didn't let Clutterbuck and Green play yesterday against the Flyers. I think either guy will get traded or not. I think they'll both end up getting moved if they didn't end up playing. So I think those guys most likely go. I knew Isha was going to be in the chat today. I knew at some point he was going to come in and talk about this. He says, I cannot believe it, Neil. I'm going to puke. He is probably talking about the fact that Marc-Andre Fleury is indeed a Minnesota Wild. And like I said on social media with you boys, you and Hoppy earlier today, let me know when you guys want me on the podcast so we could talk about this Fleury trade that I told you was going to happen a couple of weeks ago. And he says, I'm going to puke. But again, look at it from Minnesota's perspective. They didn't really give up anything. They gave up a second round pick that's not very much, and also the fact that Chicago is retaining salary. So honestly, this is not that bad of a move, in my opinion. That's the way that I look at it. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about it too much because then again, if it doesn't work out this year, okay, then you could go back to the drawing board a little bit. Albeit, getting rid of Kaapo Kahkonen is somewhat of but then again, you still have that top Swedish goaltender that you drafted last year. So again, you're still pretty set in net long term. So I wouldn't panic about it really if you're Minnesota. You and two others are my panel today for me. That is awesome, Andrew. Thank you so much for the support. Appreciate it. Devils might trade Subban, even though he got 1 year left on his contract. Zach could get traded to Severson as well. Subban will be a free agent at the end of the year. He's making $9 million this year. He will most likely not get moved unless somebody is willing to be okay with the Devils retaining 50% of his salary or something like that. But Subban could get bought out at the end of the day, and he could just go sign with some contending team. So that's kind of the way that that you look at it. But honestly, Danelle, I don't think Subban gets moved either. Nobody's picked up the phone for Subban yet. John says Chara getting traded today. Potentially, it's very potential that Zdeno Chara could end up getting moved to a cup contending team. It just depends on, is there a place for him on one of these cup contending teams for him to play? Does he go back to Boston? Probably not. Since they just acquired Hampus Lindholm, I don't think they need any more help on the defensive side. But, we'll see. Sodapod's in the chat saying pain. So much pain. Isha then says, Neil, they shipped out Kahkonen. They did indeed ship out Kahkonen over to San Jose for a 5th-round pick and Jacob Middleton. So they got another defenseman so that kind of helps out the defense a little bit. But yeah, Kaapo Kahkonen getting moved. Couldn't you have just put him back down into the minors? I mean, that's kind of that's definitely probably a tough pill to swallow if you're Minnesota. But you still have Wallstedt, so you still have a young up-and-coming goaltender into the NHL in the future. So you're still relatively decent in net moving forward. Ish says, dude, that's what they essentially traded. That's true. That's true. Danelle says, I forgot the Islanders might trade Char, even though he signed 1 year, or even Varlamov, his name has come up. Yeah, Semyon Varlamov could end up being a guy that Semyon Varlamov could definitely be a goaltender that ends up getting moved at today at some point. So it's just a matter of honestly a matter of what teams are willing to give up. Do the Islanders feel that now Sorokin should 100% be the goaltender long term? I think he should, and I think that that's definitely something that you have to consider. And now with some of the other goaltenders being more or less off the market, especially with a guy like Fleury, I think Varlamov then becomes an even more enticing guy moving forward. He says Sharks fleeced Wild. In many ways, the Sharks did, but here's the question that I have now for San Jose. Does James Reimer now end up becoming expendable? I know that they don't really have anything other than Kaapo Kahkonen after that, but do the Sharks end up moving? Because we know that Reimer has been getting calls about maybe a potential move for him. So I think that that's something to keep in mind. I know that there are teams who definitely need some goaltending help. They very well could. Wouldn't be surprised if Edmonton calls, maybe even Toronto if they really feel like they need to add another goaltender. I don't know. So that's something to keep in mind as this day progresses. I'm doing pretty well, Andrew. I'm a little bit flustered because I'm just trying to keep up with everything. But other than that, doing really well today, Andrew. Hope you're doing well today as well. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us for this up-to-date NHL trade deadline live stream special here on the Hockey Podcast Network. Again, leave a like on the stream as well. Subscribe so you don't miss any new live hockey content that we do here on the Hockey Podcast Network. He says, no, he's got a one-way. Does he have a one-way? Oh, he has a one-way? That could be also why. Because honestly, if he had a two-way, Isha, I'm sure you would agree, if he had a two-way, Kaapo Kahkonen would have just been sent down to Iowa, the Iowa Wild, and stayed down there. But that was definitely a tough decision nonetheless. But I think you still got to trust Billy Guerin. I think this is a move that, doesn't necessarily break the bank long term. But we'll see. We'll see how Fleury can adjust to playing with the Wild. Obviously, he's going on a team that has I think they do have championship aspirations considering what they've been able to accomplish this year. Rangers might trade Georgiev. It's a 50-50 chance if they trade him or not, even though he had a best game last night against the Hurricanes, getting the shutout standing on his head. That's literally what I said before about the Rangers when we were talking about him. So now, yeah, Alexander Georgiev, who will be a restricted free agent at season's end, he very well could get moved. So that's something to keep in mind. I think Georgiev, I think he ends up staying in New York. I think I think the Rangers would be more happy with just moving on from him in the offseason and maybe getting some more assets for him at that time when he's officially a restricted free agent. Besser is going to trade today. It's potential. It is possible that Brock Besser could still get moved. But as I kind of mentioned before, and I'll just say it again, I think that most likely, the Canucks end up doing nothing at this deadline only because they're in a position where they're trying to make the playoffs and things like that, and they want to be able to just see where they can go and then focus on their long-term solutions in the offseason. So I think they probably end up doing nothing. Maybe Maybe Connor Garland gets moved. Maybe if they get a good deal. But other than that, I don't see Vancouver making any sort of big moves. But things can certainly change between now and 3 o'clock. Isha says, 2 years late for that, Neil. First round exit awaits now for the Wild. Thanks, Marc-Andre Fleury. It's amazing to me how much criticism Marc-Andre Fleury is getting, especially from guys like Isha. I don't really understand why there's that much of a problem. Because again, you didn't give up a whole lot for him. I mean, I guess in the great scheme of things, you gave up a second-round pick in Kahkonen. So I guess I can understand a little bit of the frustration there with regards to that type of situation. But other than that, I really don't see how this is necessarily that bad of a move. And, I think it does improve the goaltending. And if I'm wrong, look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right, I'm totally wrong. But I honestly think it's a good move for Minnesota. They needed the goaltending help, and they got it. And they just showed the statistics that goaltending for Minnesota has been somewhat of a question mark this entire season. So honestly, I do think that it was a good move by Billy Guerin, and it didn't cost him a whole lot. Now, could it come back to bite him in the future? Yeah, but sometimes that's the price you make to go for that. So that's something to keep in mind. Josh says, Isha, you nervous of any Canucks will get shipped out at the deadline? Probably not. Colin Miller might be on the move, according to John. Yep, he's definitely somebody from Buffalo that has been in a lot of trade talks. I think that he will definitely get moved because I think he'll end up going to a contending team. He probably just won't get a whole lot. Isha says, "Oh yeah, Josh." He says after 3 losses in a row. Yeah, Canucks have been struggling of late, so maybe that makes them more interested in moving guys. But I still have a tough time seeing them end up making major moves at this deadline. But again, crazy things have happened. Isha says, so pissed. Wild got Marc-Andre Fleury. We'll see if you're pissed when Minnesota makes a long run to the playoffs. Josh says, send. I love watching them. Let their best player contracts run down and then trade them for nothing. Sounds like they're the Pittsburgh Pirates of hockey. Sabres trade Robert Hagg to the Panthers. That was back on Sunday. Sabres received a 22 6th-round pick, so they got something for him, which is actually not that bad. Definitely helps out on the defensive side, along with Ben Trott also going to Florida. Definitely Florida's been the most active of any team at the trade deadline, but we'll see if any other teams pick it up here over the next 2.5 hours. He says, we gave up our goalie for 3-month rental. I mean, aren't you still a fan, though, of Cam Talbot anyway? I mean, I know Kahkonen is young and shows promise, but again, these are the moves you end up making if you really believe in the team that you have. And I think that Billy Guerin really believes in the team that they have and feels that they can make a deep run. And Fleury can really help them get into that, especially if he can play at a high level, which even with Chicago struggling and him having some rough games of late, I still think that Fleury can play at a very, very high level. So that's kind of the way I look at it. When you look at Florida, Panthers have acquired Claude Giroux, Ben Trott, and Robert Hagg. They also acquired Carter Buchanan and German Rupsov from Flyers. So again, the Panthers have been the most active at this deadline. Claude Giroux, that was the big guy. I think he was honestly the most talked about guy that could get moved at the deadline. And what he does is he brings in some really good abilities. The thing that stands out to me the most, the two things are tremendous on the faceoff circle, and he's able to still put the puck in the back of the net at a relatively decent rate. 4.5 goals over expectation. He's also a tremendous passer, really good on your power play. Overall, Claude Giroux is definitely a big upgrade for the Panthers when it comes to their offense. I think that's why they ended up moving on from for Toronto, because I think they were expecting this move to be made. What's going on? Washed Up Goalie, one of the other podcasts here on the Hockey Podcast Network. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well today here on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube live stream. He says, Hawks retain 50% of salary and the Wild get stability in net. Not to mention what Marc-Andre Fleury brings to the locker room. Exactly. I am, though, because I think Danelle asked me this question earlier. Am I surprised that Fleury got moved? I am only a little bit, because there were other reports that said Fleury did not want to uproot his family again and move somewhere else. We also did hear that Fleury would be a little bit more okay with going to a team that has a chance to potentially win a cup this year. Minnesota is definitely a team that could make a deep run and maybe even win a cup if things go the way that they want them to go. They have the offense. Their defense has certainly improved a little bit, adding Jacob Middleton, which I like. And they obviously upgraded a little bit on their goaltending as well with Marc-Andre Fleury paired with Cam Talbot. That's really good. That's really good. I think it's been a solid, very, very solid trade deadline for the Minnesota Wild. So I think it's something that let's just see how it plays out, okay? Before we immediately assume that this was a horrible move, let's see how it plays out. Isha says, oh, Sens, their GM is always chasing his tail. Hashtag, we are a team. Yes, we're a team. Yeah. That the Sens definitely are doing very little today. They're kind of in a little bit of purgatory. Not sure exactly where their future is going. Not sure exactly where their present is right now. But maybe things could turn around. He says, washed up, not worth Kahkonen, in my opinion. Well, I mean, technically speaking, the Wild didn't give Chicago Kahkonen, even though I kind of wonder why that wasn't considered. But San Jose, they wanted a young goaltender for their rebuild. You know, I don't know if that's necessarily it, but Kaapo Kahkonen now, I think, gives himself a legitimate chance to be a number one in San Jose because James Reimer, he was only the number one goaltender because you had Adin Hill, and Adin Hill's nothing to write home about. So I think that San Jose definitely made a good move to acquire a young goaltender that could be part of their retool moving forward. So that's good. He says, don't hate the guy or the player. I think it's the wrong move, but happy to be proven wrong. Of course, he said that is the perfect way to look at it. I can understand if people are upset about the move itself, not necessarily the player, but hate the move itself. But again, you also, as a fan, you want to be pleasantly wrong. You want to be wrong. You want to be wrong in those situations because if you're wrong, that means the team is doing well and it worked out. That's the way to look at it. So, I mean, again, if Minnesota makes a long run into the playoffs and even wins the cup, certainly if they win the cup, that right there is going to make that trade 100% worth it. Washed Up Goalie said, word is for a rental. Minnesota being a short flight to Chicago to see his family or them come to visit may have been part of it. It is true. They're not incredibly far away as we're actually getting a trade alert here between Montreal and Ottawa. Excuse me, not Ottawa, Edmonton. So we'll see here. Let me see if I can find out what the deal is so I can give you guys a full update on this. So let's look. Let's see here. Do we have anything? We don't have anything from Elliot Friedman. Let's see what Frank Saravalli has to say. Frank Saravalli, who's been really good today, hearing the Oilers are acquiring Brett Kulak from the Habs. So that looks like it's going to be the next, not major move, but going to be the next move that ends up being made. So yeah, the Edmonton Oilers are going to be acquiring defenseman Brett Kulak from the Montreal Canadiens. We'll see what the term ends up being. But going back to the Fleury trade, yeah, I mean, it is obviously the distance is not too far away. And yeah, the family and Fleury can definitely see each other relatively often with it not being that too far away. What's Up Goalie says, oh, have the Devils made any moves to improve? Question mark, too soon. Yeah, look, here's the thing about the Devils. I'll really just speak, because again, I know you guys would want to hear my opinion with the Devils since that's the team that I cover and things like that. I had said this before, and I'll say it again. The Devils are not going to make any major moves today unless it's something that really blows them away that's going to help the team in the future and in the present right now. Most likely, the major moves that all of us Devils fans want to see happen are going to happen this offseason. Pierre LeBrun wrote an article for The Athletic where he was interviewing Devils general manager Tom Fitzgerald. Tom Fitzgerald said the following things, that he expects himself to make a major splash in the offseason, preferably at free agency. That could be somebody like Johnny Gaudreau. That could be somebody else, who knows. But the Devils are looking towards the offseason to make the big moves that are going to take this team to the next step. As far as goaltending is concerned, the issue that they have is simply this. The goaltending for the Devils, number one, flat out 100% sucks. It sucks. Nico Dawes is a young goaltender who shows promise, but he had been pulled in 2 of the last 3 games the Devils have played because he is tired. He has played 9 of the last 10 games for the Devils. That is not good. Not good at all. So the Devils know that they eventually want Nico Daws to go back down to Utica, help the Utica Comets, who are in first place overall in the entire American Hockey League, to make a long run to winning a championship. So the Devils may end up trying to get a veteran-ish goaltender for very cheap to play out the rest of this season, and so that Nico Daws can go back down to Utica so that John Gillies and whoever else goes ends up playing there. But John Gillies is horrible, to say the least. Just very, very bad. And the Devils are just trying to get through the last 19, 20 games of this season, and just so that they can move on and move into next year. But I will say to Devils fans one more time, do not, and I repeat, do not expect any major moves to happen today unless it's something that the Devils get that will completely blow them away. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what I expect from the Devils. So if the Devils do nothing, don't be surprised. From a Devils perspective, do not be surprised if they do nothing. That's the way that I look at it. So that's something to keep in mind, and let's kind of move forward from there. Let's see if I have anything else here from the Devils' perspective that could be interesting. But it doesn't really look like that there's anything going on here, any major moves. And again, like I said, I doubt the Devils end up doing anything when this is all said and done. What's going on, Freedom Prospector? Thank you so much for the comment, man. Leave a like on the stream as well as subscribe if you haven't already. Really, really does help out the channel tremendously. He says, I hope the Sabres unload some more UFAs and fill the cupboards full of picks. They very well could. I think it would be wise of them, honestly, Freedom. I think that the Sabres know that they have some guys that could get moved for even just low round picks. It may very well be that the Sabres just decide to make moves to get as many picks as possible, which is smart for their rebuild and things like that. So I would expect them to probably make another 2 or 3 moves today. Would be surprised if they were done already. What's going on, James? Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well today on this Monday afternoon. Says, hey, Neil, have the Canucks done anything as of lately? They did move Travis Hamonic, I believe. I could actually go back to the trade tracker so I can actually give you guys updates as we'll take a look here. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Vancouver. Anything from Vancouver today. Anything from Vancouver. We'll take a look here in just a minute. Yeah, Vancouver Canucks. Yeah, they did acquire defenseman Travis Dermott from the Leafs in exchange for a 3rd-round pick. I honestly like that move for Vancouver. Dermott is a very, very solid top 4 defenseman. Could certainly help. And they just announced it here again on the thing. It said Travis Dermott, because then the Maple Leafs ended up going and acquiring Mark Giordano from Seattle. In one of the bigger moves. Seattle gets a 2022 second-round pick, a 2023 second-round pick, and a 2024 third-round pick for the first-ever captain of the Seattle Kraken. So that's kind of a... But yeah, Vancouver did acquire Travis Dermott. They also traded away Travis Hamonic for a 3rd-round pick in 2022 as well, James. So the Canucks have been not incredibly active, but they've been somewhat active here early on. And I think it's also interesting to note is this. You have also teams that are playing out on the West Coast that for them, they're going to be done by noon today. So again, these are the kind of things that are going to be interesting. The other thing to keep in mind, guys, is this. Just because the deadline comes and goes doesn't mean that the trades end up stopping, because if there are trades that are in the process of being done while we get past 3 p.m., before the 3 p.m. deadline, then those trades still have to go through, and then they could officially be announced as well. So that's kind of something to keep in mind when you look at this entire thing. James says, cool, thanks, I knew that one. Yeah, no worries, man. I'm just going to try to keep you guys updated as much as possible. So again, Kahkonen going to San Jose with the fact that Marc-Andre Fleury is going to Minnesota. Jeff Merrick just announced 2 minutes ago that Justin Braun of the Philadelphia Flyers is going to the New York Rangers. So the Rangers are upgrading their defense with Justin Braun, who has playoff experience and has been a very, very solid penalty killer. He is going to end up going from Broad Street to Broadway. He's going to be going down 195, which if you're from this area, you know what I'm talking about. Down 195, kind of going from there. Yes, absolutely. Drop a like and subscribe, guys. Really appreciate it. We do live watch-alongs of NHL games every single day here on the Hockey Podcast Network. We also do special streams like this one here of the NHL trade deadline. What's going on, Lego Rides? Thank you so much for the comment, man. Leave a like on the stream, my friend, and subscribe if you're here. If you haven't already, really does help out the channel. He says, any more Penguins news? At the moment, the Penguins have really not done anything. I know they did make one move today, if I can find it, because it was kind of like a very quiet one. If I could find it, because they really haven't done anything, in all honesty. They made like a very minor move, but other than that, honestly, Lego, I don't think the Penguins make a big move. I don't even think they make a move, period. I think they like the team that they have right now. So I think it's something that I think it's more of the Penguins will just probably stay put and then just keep the team they have and try to see if they can make a run. I would have said goaltending at the beginning of the year, but considering that Tristan Jarry has definitely done better, I don't think that the Penguins feel like that they need to make any sort of massive changes to their roster. Lego says, already done. Love the channel. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Really do appreciate your supporting and, coming on and hanging out with us. We do appreciate it. And again, guys, if you are new to the channel and you subscribe, let me know in the stream, in the chat that you subscribe so I can shout you out here on the stream. But yes, we do indeed have a trade between the Flyers and the New York Rangers for Justin Braun. Let's see if I can find the details of it. Yes. So it looks like it's going to be Justin Braun to the Rangers in exchange for a third-round pick. Don't know what year it is yet, but that's the way that I look at it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. We will see what happens with that, but that is the next move. Rangers team profile. They just showed the Rangers now. But yeah, Justin Braun, is that the only move the Rangers make today? That is an interesting question. I don't know. It could be. It could be not. I don't know. This is a really good question. But let me know what you guys think else that you would like to see or you think is going to see or what you are my opinion on things. Let me know in the chat. Would appreciate it. So again, Frank Saravalli just recently said, hearing Oilers are acquiring Brett Kulak from the Montreal Canadiens. Let's take a look at Pierre LeBrun, see if he's got anything for us today. Pending an official trade call, the Rangers get Justin Braun from the Flyers in exchange for a third-round pick in 2023. He also said a couple minutes ago, not that there was really any great danger of it happening, I don't think, but all signs point to Philip Forsberg staying put in Nashville. Yeah, that was another thing that a lot of people were talking about because Philip Forsberg was kind of going back and forth with Nashville about whether or not he was going to sign a long-term deal with them. And it sounds like that both Nashville and Forsberg at the time right now are very far apart on a deal. But it doesn't sound like that Forsberg's going to end up getting traded at this deadline and that he'll just play with Nashville the rest of the year, try to get into the playoffs, and kind of just go from there and maybe come back to this in the offseason. So it's something to keep in mind. When you look at the New York Rangers, 40-18-5, 85 points, second in the Metropolitan Division, 12-5-1 in their last 18. Their points per game, their power play percentage is 26.3, second in the league. Their penalty kill is 82.2, ninth best. 19 games remaining this year, 12 of them at the Garden and 7 of them on the road. SodaPud says, thanks for doing this, Neil. No worries, guys. For those of you that are curious to know, I have not put out a new episode of the Devil's State of Mind podcast, which covers everything New Jersey Devils. I usually post new episodes every Monday and Thursday, but because today is the deadline, I decided to hold off on a new episode until tomorrow. So a new episode of the Devil's State of Mind podcast will be up wherever you listen to podcasts tomorrow as we will recap the trade deadline. We'll most likely talk about, since again, the Devils are probably not going to do anything, we will most likely just talk about the biggest moves like the Marc-Andre Fleury's, the Claude Giroux moves that we've had. We'll talk about them. And then we'll also recap the game against Edmonton and then obviously preview this upcoming week with the Devils starting this week tomorrow night against the New York Rangers. So that should be a good one. The Basketball Podcast Network is back in the chat, says go THPN. Thank you guys so much for the support. Really, really do appreciate it. Leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. Really, really does help out the channel tremendously. They're now talking about here on ESPN, they're talking about Calgary. Here's the thing. Calgary, I think, is done. I don't think the Flames are doing anything else this deadline because they already made their major move a few weeks ago when they acquired Tyler Toffoli from Montreal. I think now the Flames are set. They like the team that they have, and now they're going to see how far they can make a run into the playoffs. So I would say from Calgary's perspective, don't really expect them to make any more moves unless it's something that can really, really blow them away. So again, there's also just things that end up having, where you don't expect it, but it ends up being something major that you didn't see coming. So let's see if I got anything on social media as well here on my phone that could probably give me some context. Alex Biega actually just got traded from Nashville to Toronto for future considerations. Justin Braun, again, like I said, being traded to the New York Rangers from the Flyers in exchange for a 2023 third-round pick. Let's see if I can find anything else going on in this one. Brian Little and Nathan Smith go to Arizona from Winnipeg in exchange for a 22 fourth-round pick. The Fleury trade, we already know. Marcus Johansen going back to Washington from Seattle. Kahkonen being traded to San Jose. We already talked about that. Anything else? Jake DeBrusk. Anton Forsberg was actually re-signed by Ottawa, their goaltender, for 3 years, 2.75 average annual value. So that's pretty good. So it looks like they got their goaltender of the future. And I know that Lego asked before, the only move that I've seen the Penguins make is that they acquired Nathan Beaulieu from Winnipeg in exchange for a 22 seventh-round pick, which is conditional. So there's that. Carly Vejmelka was actually re-signed to a 3-year, $2.725 million deal from Arizona. So that is another part to look at. But those are really the major trades that have happened so far today. Let's see here. We did get the official trade details, by the way, of the Kahkonen deal to San Jose. The San Jose Sharks acquired Kahkonen and a 22 fifth-round pick for Jacob Middleton. So not only do the Sharks get a young goaltender, they also get another draft pick. So that's actually, I do agree with Isha now looking at the official trade terms. I think the Wild did get fleeced in that move. But because of the fact that they acquired Marc-Andre Fleury, they didn't really have much of a choice, did they? Lego says, do you think the Blues will do anything? They're a team that nobody's talking about with regards to the Blues. No, I don't. You see, the thing is, Lego, with a lot of these teams, number one, the trade deadlines are usually just rumors and nothing really actually happens, except maybe a big move here or there. But other than that, they may make a small move here or there. I know that Jordan Binnington is being shopped, but because of the amount of money he's making for the next 5 or 6 years, I don't think anybody's going to go up. I don't think anybody's going to make a move for him. If he got bought out, that would be a different story. But I don't think so. I think that's also why teams have called about Ville Husso, but just I would say from St. Louis' perspective, they would be very, very dumb to not to get rid of Ville Husso. I think that's definitely something that that they will definitely not do. So no, I don't think the Blues end up doing anything. I think they just stay put with the team that they have and try to see how far they can go. And again, I think a lot of these things, guys, a lot of these teams are going to make more moves once we get to the offseason when there's no deadline, there's no pressure, no nothing, and they can really, really spend the time to make, really, really definitive moves, really well thought out moves. Danelle says, there's a rumor that the Islanders and Coyotes might do a trade. Islanders get Chikrin and Coyotes get Bailey Wahlstrom, a 2023 first and a 2022 fourth. Interesting. I did see from earlier this morning that the Arizona Coyotes had updated their asking price for Chikrin for like 3 first-round picks. So, again, that shows you the value that Chikrin has. That would be a move that I would say to myself, well, why exactly would the Islanders be doing that in a year where they're not making the playoffs and things like that? It would definitely be more of a question mark, but maybe they feel like for a long-term perspective. But Wahlstrom is still a guy that could very, very well be a top 6 scorer for this Islanders team who, newsflash, still needs help on their top 6 and scoring consistently. But if they only have to give up a first and a second, I guess that's not the worst thing in the world. But Chikrin to the Islanders would honestly be a pretty good one. Again, they were talking about the Flames, by the way, here on ESPN. Canadians traded Tyler Toffoli to the Flames. That happened a month ago now. the Montreal Canadiens received Tyler Pitlick, Emil Heinen, and also another pick or two. And you look at Tyler Toffoli, he had 9 goals in 37 games with Montreal. Since he got to Calgary, he's played in 17 games, adding 8 goals. So Toffoli has actually gotten a lot better since he got to Calgary. Calle Jarnkrok also got traded to Calgary. So again, I think the moves that Calgary wanted to make have already happened. I don't think that they're really going to do anything else. And then with regards to the Islanders, maybe they do make a move. Maybe they do deep, but I don't know. I have a tough time seeing it. I have a really, really tough time seeing it. But let's see here if there's any other major moves today to make. Because again, we're not really... I don't think teams like the Devils or the Blues or anything, or some of the other teams we mentioned today, I don't think they end up doing anything. But again, could be totally wrong. We still have about a little more than 2 hours to go. So we'll see. As some Devils fans are obviously frustrated that Kahkonen ends up going to San Jose, because I think the Devils could have definitely used a guy like Kahkonen for long term since we needed it. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, from Devils world, we got nothing. We really have nothing, and we're probably going to get nothing. So we'll see about that. Yes, Lauren. Lauren, I had a feeling you'd be in the chat today, but good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well today, this Monday afternoon. My Ducks traded Lindholm to the Bruins. Markel is also on the trade block, even though I hope we keep him. Yeah, that's definitely another guy that has not been moved yet, but still could. But yeah, Lindholm, obviously, you got a pretty decent amount. You got John Moore as a pretty good penalty killer, so that's kind of a good thing. But yeah, look, it looked like to me that Lindholm didn't want to be in Anaheim long term. Boston really, really needed help on the defensive side, and so they made the big money move. So, Lauren, how do you feel, honestly, about that move? Starcastic Remarks, which covers the Dallas Stars here on the Hockey Podcast Network. Good to see you guys. Hope you're doing well today. He says Petrie to the Stars. Is that confirmed? Let me look that up. Let me see if that's confirmed. Don't screw with me. Don't you love Twitter, guys? Don't you love, this is what I love about Twitter. Twitter just gives you up-to-the-date stuff. Justin Braun to the Rangers. Again, Elliot Freeman's not saying anything. Let's see what Frank Saravalli has to say. If he's got anything to talk about, confirming. Yeah, this was again with the Flyers. It's again with the Flyers crap. Pierre LeBrun, you got anything for us, buddy? Let's see here. Pending official. No, that was, no. So let's see here if I got anything. But Petrie to the Stars. Are you asking if you think that's going to happen? Because if you're asking if you think that's going to happen, then maybe. Let's see. Jeff Petrie Dish. I always like saying Petrie Dish. So there you go. But Montreal Canadiens have had talks with 2 teams regarding Jeff Petrie. However, nothing appears to be close at the time. So yeah, it doesn't look like that. Just what do you think? Oh, okay, I got you now. Starcastic. So I'll get back to you in just a second. Richard and Robin Kim, thank you so much for the comment. Really do appreciate it. Anybody who's new here, guys, leave a like on the stream as well as subscribe. Punch notification bell as well. New live watch-alongs and hockey content every single day here on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. And if you are new, let me know that you subscribed in the chat so I could shout you out here on the stream. Richard and Robin say the Wild acquiring Fleury and Dolores, clearly trying to neutralize Avs and Blues. Can see that. Avs, one of the teams that seem to push Minnesota around easily. Yeah, honestly, and here's the thing. Richard and Robin, thank you so much for the comment. I appreciate it. I remember I was doing a live watch along with the Bruins Wild game last week, and you definitely saw that the Wild want to be a little bit more physical. They want to be a little bit more playoff ready. And I think that, adding guys like Fleury, adding a guy like Dolores, I think definitely helps them, really, really helps them get a little bit more aggressive, more, playoff experience. I think that they're just building for what they expect to be a long playoff run. What is going on, Andrew? Good to see you, buddy, as always. Hope you're doing well today. He says, Real Deal Neil. Andrew, as always, my friend, leave a like on the stream. Really does help out the channel. Danelle says, Neil, I saw that information on Bleacher Report on the Islanders section on my phone just to let you know. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, again, it's just a rumor. We'll see if it ends up becoming anything over the next couple of hours. But again, I don't know. Sarcastic says, no, just what do you think about Petrie to the Stars? Here's my thing about the Dallas Stars, though. If you look at it, they're only a few points behind the Golden Knights for the second wild card spot. Are they in a position to make themselves, to try to go for a run into the playoffs? Maybe. Braden Holtby may very well be put on long-term IR, so it looks like it might be Jake Ottinger and Scott Wedgewood, who the Stars acquired last night from Arizona. Adding a guy like Petrie, I don't think it may not cost them a whole lot, but again, just from what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like Petrie's going to end up getting moved at all. But if the Stars end up acquiring him, it certainly helps out their back end, especially with Heiskanen out with Mana, which we don't know how long he's going to be out. He might be out for another couple of weeks. So I think it's something to keep in mind. But yeah, certainly when you look at it, it could be a move. It could be a move, sarcastic. We'll see. Got some other comments here. Lauren says, when it comes to Lindholm, I feel like he needs a change of scenery. I'll be disappointed if we can't keep Raquel. I think, honestly, Lauren, with regards to Rickard Rakell, somebody's got to make a big offer to him. I don't think that the Ducks just trade him away for like a second-round pick and a third. I think they do have to get a decent haul for him because, again, this is still a very, very young Anaheim Ducks team who wants to try to take that next step to getting into the playoffs and things like that. I also did hear this. I did hear this from Dave Pagnotta, who is not always the greatest source. Not always the greatest, but sometimes he's pretty good with what he says. He said that apparently the Ducks have been listening to offers for John Gibson. Now, let me just say this. It would be really, and I mean really stupid for the Ducks to move on from John Gibson. Gibson has made it clear he wants to stay in Anaheim. The Ducks are on the rise. I don't know why in the hell the Ducks would even be listening to offers for John Gibson unless they feel like that they want to continue the rebuild, so to speak. I don't understand exactly why he's getting offered. But from a selfish reason, I would love to see my Devils make a call to Anaheim and say, what do you want for Gibson? If he is indeed available. I mean, it's strange that they do that. But again, I don't think that's happening. I actually don't think Rickard Rakell gets moved when this is all said and done. But with regards to Lindholm, you're probably right, Lauren. He probably did need a change of scenery and needed to be moved out. And so he gets his wish going to a championship contender in the Boston Bruins. And you know what's also interesting about that move, ladies and gentlemen? Because of the contract extension now that Lindholm's going to get, which is going to start next season, what now happens to Patrice Bergeron? What happens? Does he retire at season's end? Does he take a team-friendly deal? Does he go somewhere else? I don't know. If he ends up being a free agent and decides to go somewhere else, he's going to be one of the top 3 most coveted free agents. And there's going to be teams that are going to want him. But Bergeron also may just decide he doesn't want to leave. He's also the captain of the Bruins. So, I mean, I don't know why he would leave, but he could. He could. Zdeno Chara left, so, it's possible. It's possible, but I do want to say that Lindholm extension makes things with Bergeron just a little bit more interesting. And that will be something you got to keep your eye on once we get to offseason and free agency and all that happy stuff. What's going on, James Zilestra? Good to see you, buddy. As always, hope you're doing well today, my friend, on this Monday afternoon. He says, hey, Neil, dark horses are the Rangers and Minnesota now. As far as dark horses, yeah, I think you could definitely make an argument with that. I think Minnesota was still somewhat of a dark horse even before this move, but I think now adding Marc-Andre Fleury and Delorier, I think it definitely makes them a team that if everything is working together with chemistry and things like that, they could be a team that really, really causes a lot of problems for teams in the playoffs once we get there. So they could very well be. And the Rangers as well, again, their stats, their underlying stats are still a concern, but if it continues to not bite them in the ass, the Rangers could definitely be a team that could surprise a lot of people once we get to the playoffs. Andrew says, I don't see the Devils make any moves until the offseason. Exactly what I said before. Don't expect it. Any Devils fan in here? Don't be disappointed. Don't go on social media and cuss and yell. Understand the realities of the situation that the Devils are in. We have a young team with very little to actually trade away, and we're not going to improve the team right away by this deadline. We're most likely going to get better once we get to the offseason and we can really take the time to sit, focus, and really look at the team as a whole. James says, Jets need to move Kopp and Stastny. Stastny could be a guy that definitely could go to a playoff team. Maybe he goes back to a team like Vegas if Vegas makes a move. Vegas still has done nothing today, which is kind of interesting. Don't know what they're going to do today because, again, it looks like Jack Eichel might now be going to long-term IR with Mark Stone coming back in a little bit, but they're still going to have to make a move or two to keep under salary cap situation. So, I don't know. I really don't know. It's kind of interesting how nothing has happened in Vegas world right now. But, Stastny could be a guy that could very well get moved today. Kopp, I think, definitely gets moved. It's just a matter of, what's the best offer the Jets can get, and then they'll just go with that. What's going on, Nathaniel? Good to see you, buddy. As always, hope you're doing well today. Leave a like on the stream and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel. He says, hello, just joined. Have Oilers got a new goalie? Nope, not yet. They've still done nothing. They did acquire a defenseman just now, Kulak from Montreal. Other than that, they have done Jack Diddley squad. They may very well just keep that. Now, why is ESPN showing Sam Bennett? No way. Okay, that was last year. See, why are they talking about trades that happened last year? Who gives a crap? See, they were teasing us just a second ago, thinking that Sam Bennett got traded, which would be absurd, but it didn't. Then they talk about Taylor Hall, who got traded from Buffalo to Boston last year, which has actually kind of worked out for Boston. Lauren says, firing Dallas Eakins will be another major step in taking the team to a playoff contender. You, my friend Lauren, are absolutely 100% correct on that. Nathaniel says, Oilers need goalie. They do. They want to make a run in the playoffs, Nathaniel. As you know, they do. What's going on, Joel Fletcher? Thank you so much for the comment, man. We appreciate it. Leave a like on the stream and subscribe if you haven't already, Joel. Really, really does help out the channel tremendously. And let me know, guys, if you're new to the channel, let me know when you do subscribe so I can chat you out here on the stream. Joel says, don't say it. Bergie is never leaving. Well, Joel, here's the only problem is that unless Bergeron takes a substantially low deal, right? If he takes a substantially low deal, then yes, he'll stay. If he retires, okay, then he just will always be a Boston Bruin, and that's that. But if he wants to continue to play, if the Bruins can't make room for him, he doesn't have any option other than he has to go. And he has to go to some other team. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I'm not saying that Bergeron's going to go. I'm saying that because the Hampus Lindholm extension, that just gives them less and less money. You know what? As a matter of fact, let's look up the Boston Bruins cap space for next season. Cap space in 2022. Because that'll honestly give us an idea as to what exactly we're dealing with when it comes to their whole situation. So with regards to cap space, interesting. They actually have about $15 million in estimate cap space next season. All right, I guess I'm wrong. I thought they would have less. I really did. How about that? Adjusted cap total. How about that? So they actually will have a decent amount. So no, I might be wrong. They might still be able to give him a long-term deal. Who knows? Like I mentioned before, Maple Leafs trade Alex Biega to the Predators for a mid-round pick. So that's for future considerations, actually. Again, Montreal Canadiens are trading defenseman Brett Kulak to the Edmonton Oilers. We still don't know what the compensation that Montreal gets from that. We will see. Danelle says, so the Rangers get Braun from the Flyers. So what did both teams get in return? Like I mentioned before, the Flyers got a 2023 third-round pick. I believe that was the deal. We'll double check it again. It's a third-round pick in 2023 that's going to 2023 third-round pick that's going to Philadelphia for Justin Braun. Daniel says Peter Mrazek to Oilers ? He could get picked up if the Oilers feel like that he is a good guy to come in with Mikko Koskinen. Koskinen has been playing better of late, but still not at the level that will help the Oilers maybe win a Stanley Cup this year. But he could very well end up going there. Not in a trade. He would just get picked up since he was put on waivers yesterday. So we'll see. What's going on, Dylan? Good to see you, buddy. As always, hope you're doing well today on this Monday afternoon or, morning where you are. But thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. How much time we got left for the trade deadline? We currently have an hour and 56 minutes until the trade deadline is officially over. But I will reiterate this, guys. Any trade that happens just before the 3 p.m. deadline can still be finalized and go through even after 3 p.m. You just have to have it in and beginning it before 3 o'clock. So again, we still have over an hour until this until we're done, and still a lot of moves could happen. But right now things have been somewhat quiet, which is kind of scary, which is very, very scary. 100% true. Thank you so much for the comment, man. Appreciate it. Leave a like on the stream as well as subscribe. Really does help out the channel tremendously. He says that Elvis Presley hairstyle looks good on you, bro. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm actually, well, at least I was planning on going to get a haircut and also getting my beard trimmed, because I think I'm just going to keep facial hair long term because a lot of people seem to like it. But I do appreciate it. My hair's not even fully combed. Like I said, I jumped in on this 20 minutes before we started. So it's kind of like a, like immediate reaction type thing that I decided to do this. But I appreciate the comment, man, 100%. Joel says, no Tuukka contract saved them. Oh, you know what? That is a good point. He said, no, Tuukka on the books saved them some space. Thanks for the coverage. Okay. Well, Joel, thank you so much for reminding me of that, with obviously Tuukka Rask retiring, unfortunately. But I appreciate the comment as well, saying thanks for the coverage. No worries, guys. Thank you guys so much for spending some of your Monday afternoon here with us during this trade deadline. Again, things have now gotten really quiet of late. Nothing major of late has happened. The last major move we had was Fleury an hour and a half ago, being traded from the Chicago Blackhawks to the Minnesota Wild for a not conditional, I think it was just a second round pick. What's going on, Molstar42? Thank you so much for the comment, my friend. Really do appreciate it. Molstar42, while you're here, leave a like on the stream as well as subscribe. Really, really does help out the channel tremendously. He says, hello, woke up to the wildest trading I've seen for my favorite team. So obviously you are a Minnesota Wild fan. Molstar, we had some people in here earlier talking about the Marc-Andre Fleury trade and things like that. I want to get your opinion on it, so let me know in the chat what you think overall of the entire deal. Also with Kahkonen going to San Jose, let me know. And again, guys, if you're a fan of any team in the NHL, especially teams that have made moves so far today, let me know in the chat what you think of those moves, or if you want to get my opinion as well. Would love to interact with you guys more and more. This would absolutely be phenomenal. Do this. And again, I really, really love hanging out with you guys and talking with you guys today. You look at the Edmonton Oilers, they are third in the Pacific right now. They've won each of their last 5 games. Their power play is fourth in the league. Their penalty kill is second in the league. They have 20 games exactly remaining, and they have 10 at home and 10 on the road. So pretty balanced there. So this is the only reason why I think Edmonton could potentially not do anything. They're playing really well right now. They may look at it and say, why would we end up making any moves and kind of screwing up the team when we're playing well right now? The goaltending is still a major question mark moving forward. So if they get into the playoffs, do they feel confident with Mikko Koskinen and or Mike Smith really carrying the load if they want to have any chance of making a long sustaining run in the playoffs? They want to try to win a championship. Do you really feel comfortable with a guy like Mike Smith or Koskinen in net? I don't know. I don't know if you do. By the way, guys, this is the first of 2 major things we're doing here today on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel, because at about 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we will have our good friend Terry. He has his Q&A stream. It'll start then at 5 p.m. Eastern. He's a former NHL player who also does some stuff here on the Hockey Podcast Network. So make sure you guys are around for that as well. So I'll be on here until I'm going to give it till about 3:15 p.m. because, again, you don't know what could happen between the 3 p.m. mark until officially over. We also could just wait until we get official word that no more moves are happening, this, that, and the other thing. But, again, I'm here until the NHL trade deadline is over. And for the first time, and we've been doing this for over an hour now, and I haven't done this yet, but for the first time today, we are going to take a little bit of a quick break to get a quick word from our sponsors at DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, team, time to bet NFL games. Confidence.
I'm feeling a parlay with more legs than a spider.
So 9 legs?
Roll the dice, baby.
Indecision?
We picked one home favorite. I abstain.
You can't abstain.
Boring! 6-leg parlay, 2 home dogs, all hitting the over. Boom!
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and feel the NFL action like never before.
So a big shout out to our sponsors at DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring this live stream and everything we do here at the Hockey Podcast Network. Make sure, guys, when you sign up for DraftKings to use our promo code, which you can see right here in the bottom right corner, THPN, and tell them Neil Villapiano sent you. So again, this is our live stream of this year's NHL trade deadline. We have been going on. We started at around noon today, and I've been on here. We will be on here until about 3:15 once the NHL trade deadline comes to an end. We've already had some big moves. We had Claude Giroux about a day or two ago being moved from the Flyers to the Florida Panthers. Marc-Andre Fleury for a second-round pick is going from the Chicago Blackhawks over to the Minnesota Wild. We'll see if any other major moves end up happening here in this one. We did have one minor trade that happened a couple minutes ago. We had the LA Kings acquire Frederick Allard from Nashville in exchange for Braden Burke, so a very minor deal to say the least. And, Lauren, who is a big Ducks fan, she talked about a few moments ago about the fact that about Rickard Rakell. Well, I have here a report that came from Julie Stewart-Binks, who said about 20 minutes ago that the New York Rangers and now the Boston Bruins are interested in acquiring Rickard Rakell. So the Rangers and Bruins, who were two teams that had interest in Rickard Rakell before, are now once again talking to Anaheim. So the Ducks may not be done, and maybe Rickard Rakell does indeed get moved. But again, it's just talk right now. Nothing has really happened yet. So that's kind of something. Also here it says, Russ Joy reports the Blues have interest in Ivan Provorov and Travis Sanheim. It is a possibility one deal gets done today. So it looks like the Blues may potentially end up making a move after all before this deadline is up and over. We also just saw here on the screen, because I'm watching NHL Point on ESPN, which is doing their trade deadline. They just interviewed Marc-Andre Fleury, who says he's very excited to go to Minnesota, this, that, and the other thing. He says that the family is going to try to find a place in Minnesota to live so he could stay with the family and all of that stuff. We also, guys, we are about an hour and 45 minutes away from the end of the trade deadline. So we'll see how things progress here as we move forward. Molstar says, I like Kahkonen, and not the biggest fan of Fleury, but anything to get the Wild going further in the playoffs. I can get the sense that a lot of people are, on one hand, kind of excited to see Fleury come because the potential that he could bring, but also the fact they did have to give up Kahkonen is a pretty rough one. If potentially Kahkonen had, a two-way contract where he could just end up, being sent out to the minors, I think then, they wouldn't have had to make that move, but they kind of were in a tough situation. And so Kahkonen, now probably the newest franchise goaltender for the San Jose Sharks. What is going on, RJ? Good to see you as always, buddy. Hope you're doing well today on this Monday trade deadline afternoon. While you're here, RJ, leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. Really does help out the channel tremendously. What's going on, Stefan? It's been a while since I've seen you, buddy. I think the last time I ever seen you was when we were doing Olympic Games a couple months ago. But good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well today. He says they never trade Rakell. Well, again, this is only speculation. There is no word that a trade has happened or is going to happen. This is more of just a wait-and-see approach that is potential. Also, I want to just point this out. The Devils Twitter account, they just posted this. They said, roses are red, violets are blue. If you don't like us, we dislike you too. It's deadline day, so please behave. Your favorite admin does not make trades. Yeah, this is something that every hockey fan does with their own, what's it called? With their own fans, because all these fans, they always go after their own teams and say, "Oh, will you make a move?" And it's like you're literally yelling at a dude who's just in control of the Twitter account, not the actual team themselves. And that's that's the part that always makes me laugh. That we're in that position, so just take it easy, guys. Take it easy, just a little bit. So let's see here again. Again, nothing has really happened of late except some minor trades here and there. It's been really, really quiet, but things could be in the works. Stefan says true. He also says okay, but thank you so much, Stefan, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. RJ says the Yankees are playing the Phillies today on yes if you want to watch the game for the baseball game. I would like to watch it, but again, I do want to keep on the ESPN's trade deadline special so I can keep up to date with any breaking news that I can get. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. What's going on, Beer Sports, whatever podcast? Good to see you guys as always. Hope you're doing well today on this Monday afternoon. Leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. Really does help out the channel. Says, hi, sorry, at work. No worries. Look, today is just kind of a weird day, just for the standpoint of a lot of people are going to be at work and things like that. Totally get it. I mean, I'm working right now, but I get the luxury of, sorry about that. Just had something in my throat. I do apologize. But yeah, everybody's at work. It's going to be it's going to be tough at times, but going to do the best here, guys, to give you guys the updates as we go along here. Again, nothing has really happened in major trades. I try to give you guys every trade possible when it comes up. But other than that, nothing really major has happened in the last couple of minutes. But we will continue to see what ends up happening here. We continue to look around. Yeah, so now we got some other words here. Via David Pagnotta of the fourth period, he says, the Rangers are believed to be interested in Rickard Rakell as the Ducks continue to work the phones. So again, the Ducks may not fully be done today. Rickard Rakell is another big name that could be on the move, so that's something to keep in mind. The Bruins also have shown interest, and the Bruins already made a deal with the Ducks to acquire, I'm blanking out here, Hampus Lindholm, so that's something. Talking about the Brandon Hagel trade again. How in the actual hell did the Chicago Blackhawks get 2 first-round picks and also and some other pieces for freaking Brandon Hagel? I'm sorry, Hagel to me is not necessarily a top 6 player. And it's fine for Tampa Bay because they don't need him to be a top 6 player, but it's just weird. It's just really, really weird. It's weird. Andrew says, top graded trade so far. Ooh, it's a good one. I would probably say the Claude Giroux one. I would say that's the top graded one because of the fact that Claude Giroux is still playing at a very, very high level, even though he's definitely somebody that could end up being he could end up being a guy that could play another couple of years, even with him at his age. He's a guy that I think makes the offense in general for Florida that much more potent. I think their power play becomes more lethal. He could set guys up, which is really, really good. I think those are definitely the two guys that I think that's definitely the guy that is the biggest trade. Also, the Flyers end up getting the top prospect from Florida in Owen Tippett, who has actually had some NHL experience. So I think it kind of works out in that way. Also, Gritty gets himself a new best friend since obviously you have the massive orange hair that Owen Tippett has, kind of blends in with Gritty. But I would say the Claude Giroux trade from Philly to Florida is probably the biggest graded trade I can think of. Probably after that, I would say the Marc-Andre Fleury deal. Other than that, and then maybe like Ben Sherratt going to Florida as well. That's kind of something to keep in mind with that. Currently, ESPN's doing their top 5 under the radar moves. So moves that could actually happen that you're not hearing a whole lot of word about. Again, I should mention this. I mentioned it before, but again, the Canadians have traded Brett Kulak to the Oilers. We're still waiting on what the compensation is. Let's see what else is going on here. nothing else really, again, to say the least, but we will continue to see what ends up happening. Andrew says, love that cup, by the way. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I got this cup. It's funny because it has Corey Schneider, Andy Green, Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier, Marcus Johansson, and Will Butcher, and the only one that's still left on here is Nico Hischier. So that kind of tells you, and that was only from 17-18, so it's crazy how far that's changed. Artturi Lehkonen is another under the radar move. The Canadians may very well move him. I think it's just a matter of when they end, what they can end up getting for him. So that's something to keep in mind. Something very, very much to keep in mind moving forward in this one. But when I get a chance, I'll kind of tell you guys really quickly who ESPN has their under the radar moves. So they have at number 5, Vladislav Nemestikov. 4 is Alexander Barbanoff. Tyler Mott's number 3, Artturi Lehkonen's number 2, and number 1 is Andrew Kopp. So Andrew Kopp, I would definitely be surprised if Kopp did not get moved before this deadline is over. If he ended up not getting moved, it would probably be because the asking price that maybe Winnipeg is having is too much. And also, Winnipeg doesn't necessarily have to start thinking about a long-term rebuild. They still have a lot of good pieces that could very well make a run. They're just having a tough year. I don't think they end up making the playoffs this year, but there's certainly a team that could still be a very formidable foe down the road. They still have Kopp. They still have Nikolai Ehlers. They still have Connor Hellebuck, Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler. They still have these guys that can produce at a very high level. So I think that that's something where they don't have to make a move if they don't want to. Josh says, which of those players do you see being traded first? Out of those guys that they just mentioned, out of those guys. By the way, before I do that, here's something interesting. Jonathan Toews, interview with the Athletics' Mark Lazarus, he said, yeah, if Hagel is the guy that gets traded, if he's not a guy that's part of a rebuild, then I don't know. I don't know if anyone feels safe at this point with the way he's been playing and what he's meant to our team. So Jonathan Toews has been, he also says, I had a hard time thinking in my mind that he would be one of the guys to get shipped off considering what he brought in. Yeah, that was a tough one to see. I'm pretty shocked for sure. So the Blackhawks are really interesting because if Hagel can get moved, especially for that amount, and especially because Hagel was considered to be a long-term piece, who's to say that anyone else is not safe? I mean, you could think DeBrincat, even Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews. I think anybody is available. Marc-Andre Fleury just got dealt. Anybody to me, I think, is available for whatever for a price. And I think even Hagel, I'm sure he was surprised that he ended up getting dealt. But now he gets a chance to try to help the Lightning go for a third straight Stanley Cup. But Josh said, which of those players do you see being traded first? If I'm a betting man, and if you are a betting man, use our promo code THPN when you sign up for DraftKings. I would say probably Andrew Kopp because of the value that he has. I think he's a guy that definitely a lot of teams are going to want to see get moved. So I would say him. Probably after that, I would say Tyler Mott because of the two-way game that he can play. That's probably I would say. So I would say Andrew Kopp, Josh, to answer that question, would be the most likely guy out of those under-the-radar moves that ends up getting moved. Nathaniel Fitz says, any update on Oilers goalies? I hate to report, but no. There is nothing with regards to the Oilers with regards to goaltending. They did make a move to get Kulak, again, from Montreal, but other than that, they haven't done anything, which is, I'm sure, is irritating Nathaniel. It's irritating you to no end, which I don't know what to tell you about that one. But this is really funny. Funny from the Devils, kind of cool from the Devils' perspective. Miles Wood has been able to start practicing for the first time since training camp. He said that was the most excited I've ever been for a March practice, which is kind of funny considering the Devils haven't really had meaningful practices in March for a while. Mrazek, definitely Peter Mrazek still on waivers at this moment. Be interesting to see what happens with him moving forward. We also just got word here from Joe McDonald, who reports the Bruins are done, aside from perhaps depth defense. So it's possible that Jake DeBrusk just ends up staying in Boston, and maybe he still gets moved at the in the offseason or whatnot, but maybe that extension kind of threw teams off a little bit because of the price and things like that. I don't know. But again, it sounds like, at least right now, that the Bruins may very well be done for this deadline. Josh says, any news on the Sens? No. Are you even surprised, Josh, that nothing has happened with the Sens? Well, they haven't done anything except when they traded Nick Paul earlier to Tampa in exchange for Matthew Joseph, a 2024 fourth-round pick also. So that was kind of the only thing that Ottawa has really done, and that wasn't even that major of a move. That really wasn't even that major of a move. So let's see here if we got anything. Anything at all. Give me something. I'd like to have something else to talk about. Jeff Merrick hasn't said anything in the last 45 minutes. Has Elliot Friedman said anything? Elliot Friedman has said nothing. Frank Saravalli, do you have anything for us? Let's see what you have to say. Saravalli says nothing. There's nothing with him. Pierre LeBrun, please, man. Pierre LeBrun, give us something. Give me anything. Anything at all. Nothing. So, again, we are still in this really annoying part of the deadline where nothing is going on. For all we know, the moves that happened earlier today with guys like Fleury and also obviously Giroux earlier this past week, that may be the biggest moves we get all day. There might still be a move or two that's kind of more minor, but other than that, we just haven't really gotten anything. And it's just kind of hard to like sit here and almost at this point just wait to see what happens. I don't know. It's really kind of an annoying spot to be in right now. We did though, just get an update on the Kulak deal going to Edmonton. It says the Oilers are believed to be sending a 2023 second-round pick to the Canadiens in exchange for Brett Kulak, according to David Pagnotta, who I think I'm just going to bring up his Twitter while I'm here because he may have some stuff as well that kind of could raise some eyebrows here. So let's see if there's anything he's got going on. It sounds like a second-round pick going to Montreal, I believe in 2023, but not confirmed yet. Claude Giroux is actually having his first press conference with the Florida Panthers. He just said, quote, "My job is to come in here, blend in, and help the team win." So that is a simple way to put it right now. Do you have anything? Anything? No, we got nothing, right? It's really dead right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's really, really dead. So hopefully things pick up here as we got about 90 minutes, an hour and a half until this trade deadline is over. Because it's just, and again, it's just quiet. I really don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you guys. I wish that there was more that I could say right now, but we're not getting a whole lot. We are not getting a whole lot at the moment. But this trade for Marc-Andre Fleury is definitely one that was I don't know if it was like totally unexpected. Also, by the way, this is kind of a fun fact for anybody who cares about what's going on with Minnesota and Marc-Andre Fleury. It says here, Minnesota Wild defenseman Dmitry Kulikov will give up his number 29. That's what he's wearing right now. He has number 29 to Marc-Andre Fleury. So that's kind of it. Also, this is what Marc-Andre Fleury looks like in a Minnesota Wild uniform. So that's kind of something you guys can take a quick glance at and say, that's what it looks like. So it's kind of a fun thing here. Let's see if the Wild actually announced anything. Also, I still can't believe the Golden Knights have done nothing. Is there anything on them? Is there anything on the Golden Knights? Let's see if I can find anything on them because I'm really curious to know why we're not talking about them at all. Because you would think with what the situation they're in, they'd have to make a move or two. Unless I'm totally wrong. Unless I am totally wrong. Also, guys, just want to let you know the BC Hockey Podcast here on the Hockey Podcast Network, which covers the Vancouver Canucks and the junior leagues as well in the Vancouver Islands area in the Pacific Northwest. They will be live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for their noon lunch. So for them, it'll be like noon. For here on the East Coast, it'll be at 3 p.m. on their channel, BC Hockey Podcast. So make sure you go hang out with Dylan and Isha, who have been in the chat earlier today. Make sure you guys go hang out with them when they recap the deadline. They'll obviously recap what the Vancouver Canucks have done and things like that, and they'll kind of go from there. But again, this Brandon Hagel move is like throwing me off because they got 2 first-round picks for him. 2 first-round picks. I also am very curious to know, is this going to be the last hurrah for Marc-Andre Fleury? Regardless of what happens this year, they make the playoffs, they win the cup, they don't win the cup, anything like that. I'm curious to know if Fleury's career in the NHL is going to come to an end after this. I don't know. I think regardless of whenever Fleury ends his career, I think he'll sign a one-day deal with the Penguins to retire as a Penguin. I think he will do that. I think it would make a lot of sense if he does it. Ben Pope, who covers the Chicago Blackhawks, he just said this. I'm curious to see what the Blackhawks goalie plan is now. Lankinen is a UFA. D'Elia is a UFA. Soderblom is the only guy with another year remaining on his contract. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe they end up being one of the teams that tries to maybe go pick up Peter Mrazek, who has another 2 or 3 years left on his contract after this year. So maybe Mrazek gets a little bit more interesting to teams who want a goaltender long term. So I don't know. But that's definitely somewhat of a yikes if you're from the Blackhawks perspective. I think it is safe to say that this past offseason was somewhat of a failure with regards to all of that stuff. So I don't know. I really, really don't know. And it really bugs me because I'm also on Devils Twitter right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm on here. And a lot of the fans of our team are very pissed off that the Devils have done nothing. And as I've said before, the Devils just don't have a whole lot to offer other teams. And if they're not getting any calls, if they've been trying to make deals and nothing's getting through, then that's that. I mean, again, there's also the possibility for the umpteenth time that the Devils may just do nothing and just try to do everything in the offseason. So then that way, if we do make moves that everybody's happy about in the offseason, we could say, all right, this is why we didn't do Jack Diddley squad at the deadline. We're not sellers. We can't really be unless somebody calls in the next hour and a half and says, hey, we'll give you so-and-so for PK Subban or Jimmy Vesey. And again, even then, if you're not going to get any good assets, it's not worth moving them anyway. RJ's giving us a baseball spring training update. He says it is 3-0 Yankees over the Phillies in the bottom of the first. Thank you for that update, RJ. Appreciate it as always, my friend. We got nothing. This is rough. This is just, I've been patient, but Fitzy needs to wake up now. Again, I don't know what you guys want. What do you want him to do? That's what I want to know. What do Devils fans want the Devils to do right now? I'm trying to understand what's going on. I can't claim to have any inside knowledge, but willing to go out on a limb and say Lou will talk to the Devils today. For what? What on earth do the Devils have why would see, this is the thing. This is the annoying thing about Twitter, right? Is that a lot of the time you get people who just throw out random stuff like that because they're bored and there's nothing going on. So obviously, when people say like, oh, make sure you double check the check mark, I totally agree. That's why I got Elliot Freeman, Sarah Valley, Pierre LeBrun, and even to a lesser extent, David Pagnotta here on my tabs as well, because they're the guys that are going to be able to definitively tell us what's going on. Because other than that, we got nothing. I don't really understand where this is coming from. I want to see what people have to say about it. Lou talking with Bryce Salvador to come out of retirement. See, that's a joke. But, it doesn't. Yeah, see, nobody is even like, and the Islanders are looking at it like, oh yeah, let's see what they got. It's like, what? What do the Devils, we're not making any sort of amazing move for that. That's tough. Ooh, this is tough. This is tough. At King Angus 4 on Twitter, he put this out saying, never buying a Habs jersey again. He has a Max Domi, a Kulak, and a Kotkaniemi jersey. That is rough. I feel very, very happy. I feel very, very sad, that that's it. And also, I just want to point this out again from the Devils' perspective. I know I keep talking about the Devils, but I do cover the Devils here on the network, and people have been asking about it. Jimmy Vesey did not practice today due to a non-COVID illness. That doesn't mean that he's getting traded. If he was taken out of practice for precautionary reasons, then you can speculate. But if you see that he's not playing, he's not there because of non-COVID illness, that means he's just sick. So That's the annoying thing about the deadline, is that everybody assumes, even the smallest things, people are like, oh, this is what it means. It means this, it means that. It's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. Lawrence says, my Ducks play the Predators tonight, but I don't expect us to win. My UCLA Bruins will play North Carolina Sweet 16, and if we win, we will play either Purdue or St. Peter's. Shout out to the Peacocks from New Jersey that are in the Sweet 16. But yeah, Ducks play the Predators tonight. Should be interesting. And then obviously later on this week, we'll have the Sweet 16 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and should get more exciting as we progress. Andrew says, off topic, but thank the baseball gods above. Sanchez is finally gone. I don't care what the fan base says. Yes, the New York Yankees traded away Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela to the Minnesota Twins for Josh Donaldson, I think one of their catchers, and Kiner Falefa. So that was kind of a pretty big deal in baseball. So obviously the Yankees did not get better, in my opinion. I know Sanchez is gone, but they also acquired Donaldson, who's old and is not as good anymore. I just not a big fan of it. Just not a big fan, but that's from a baseball perspective. But let's see if we get any more updates right now, because this is just, we're like dead right now. So again, Friedman has not said anything. Sarah Valley has said absolutely nothing. Pierre LeBrun, no chance that you have anything to say, because if you say something, everyone else is saying something. Nope. Pagnotta, dude, if you somehow have something, I will laugh. I will laugh if you actually have something. You probably don't, but it does not hurt to look. Let's take a look. Pagnotta says nothing. Sounds like, yep, second round pick. Yep, yeah, dude, nothing's going to happen. It doesn't feel like anything's going to happen moving forward. It doesn't feel like that. So I don't know, guys. I don't think that we're going to end up seeing a whole lot from now until 3 p.m. I mean, I don't want to end up like ending the stream anytime soon and then all of a sudden things start happening. But again, we're kind of in a dead spot right now. Lawrence says, my Ducks acquired Gary Mayhew from the Flyers. Didn't that already happen, though? I'm going to double check that. Did it happen just now, Lauren? Kind of curious to know. Let's see here. Here, LeBron. Yeah, that was already talked about. Don't care. Okay. Yeah, I still have like nothing right now. It has been dead quiet. It has been dead freaking quiet right now. This is really killing me. So let's see here if we got anything. So let's see here. Oh, we got something. According to Brian Hedger here, he says there is some talk about the Blue Jackets trading forward Max Domi to the Hurricanes. So there's a potential of a in-division trade between the Blue Jackets and the Hurricanes. So we'll see if anything materializes from that. So that's kind of interesting to take a look at. Let's see what else here. Let's see. Let's take a look over on this side. Again, nothing really to report right now. Yep, just kind of dead right now. Kind of quiet. But continue to look here. Got something else interesting here. Jeff Merrick says that earlier this season, the Rangers and Bruins had conversations which included Philip Hedl. So I don't know if that means Philip Hedl is still potential to end up being moved on. Doubt it. I think the Rangers are more buyers than really anything. So there's that. We did get word from Emily Kaplan a little bit more than a half hour ago. She said, breaking, via Emily Kaplan, the Rangers will not trade Alexander Georgiev this trade deadline. They'll find him a new home over the summer. So there you go. So it looks like that Georgiev will end up being moved at he won't be a Ranger after this year, but it will be after the deadline. So it looks like to me that Georgiev will back up Shesterkin for the remainder of this season, and then they'll look to try to move him in the offseason. So that is definitely somebody to keep in mind for. I do think, though, that if some team comes in with a really good offer, then maybe the Rangers will consider it. But other than that, I don't think they will. So who knows? We shall see. Andrew says, I'm watching both coverages of the NHL deadline, the Hockey Guy on YouTube, you on THPN and TSN. Well, Andrew, we certainly appreciate you showing your support to us. Really, 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 really appreciate it, man. But again, also just want to say thank you all so much for hanging out with us today on this trade deadline special live stream here on the Hockey Podcast Network. If you're new, guys, leave a like on the stream, subscribe, and punch notification bell so you don't miss any new live watch-alongs that we do here on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. And if you do subscribe and you're new, let me know in the comment section that you did subscribe so I could shout you out here on the stream. That would be that'd be great if you guys could do that for me. Really, really trying to we just got over 1,300 subscribers, so let's continue to push here to get to 1,400. It'd be absolutely, absolutely awesome. So let's see here. Nothing else to really report at the moment. We're still kind of going here. I want to kind of curious because Lauren says I sent a link about the Mayhew news. Let me look up a little bit. I'm actually going to look this up. Not saying I don't believe you. I just want to know. Why did the Devils just tweet something? Damn it. They tricked me again. Nothing to report. Let's look up Mayhew. Let's see what we can get for him. Oh, it's Geary. Another bizarre goal. Doesn't look like... I don't see anything. I do not see anything right now for Mayhew. I have no idea. Isha says, Lauren, I have a Gary Mayhew signed puck. You want it? Oh, there you go. There you go. So Isha's offering a little prize there for Lauren for Gary Mayhew. That's for a Gary Mayhew signed puck. Very cool. Even though she says no thanks. F in the chat. Good try though. Isha. Love it though. But yeah, this is really interesting. So now you look at notable goaltenders this season. Jonas Korpisalo could get moved if Columbus feels like they want to move on from him. Georgiev looks like he's not going to get moved to the offseason. Semyon Varlamov could still be on the move. Who knows? But we know Fleury's going to Minnesota. Anton Forsberg signed an extension with Ottawa, so he's probably not going anywhere. Yeah, it's really kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, Jacob, it's about time you got in here, buddy, but good to see you as always. Wait a minute. Why are we showing James Reimer on the screen? Did he just get moved? Did we just see James Reimer get moved? Why are you showing James Reimer on the screen? I did not see anything for James Reimer. I know people were calling about him, but I don't think he got moved yet. He could still get moved. We still have 1:17 to go in the trade deadline. Jacob says, no, I'm late. No worries. Jacob also said, did Vegas get anyone? They haven't done anything. They have done absolutely nothing. They haven't traded anybody. They haven't acquired anybody. Jacob, they most likely will have to trade somebody. But again, Vegas has not done anything. I was at school. Well, that makes sense. Again, it is a Monday. It's not a holiday or anything like that. A lot of people are at work. A lot of people are at school. So it happens. It indeed happens here. But we appreciate people taking the time to do this. Jacob says, VGK beating the Wild tonight. We shall see. I don't think Fleury plays tonight. I think most likely it's going to be Cam Talbot, but could change. Could very well change. Nathaniel, I am happy to report that there is still no update on the Oilers getting a goalie. I don't think they end up doing it. I think they end up staying put. I think they really, really end up staying put. Jacob says, trade Robin, he gets injured too much. Nobody's taking the cap hit that Robin Leonard has right now, Jacob, especially when he's injured. Makes absolutely no sense. And again, nobody is going to try to get the Golden Knights out of their cap situation unless Vegas makes a deal that the other team cannot refuse. If anything, these teams are going to try to get some guys cheap if they can because of the fact that Vegas doesn't really have a whole lot of control. Colts are finalizing a deal to trade him. What? I'm confused. Wait, what? Wait, Who finalizing a deal for who? I'm talking about football. What did I just miss? Wait, now I'm confused because you're saying Colts are finalizing a deal to trade for him. Who are we talking about? I'm trying to understand, like Lauren, who are we talking about? Jacob says our backups are good. They're not at the level that it's going to win you a cup, Jacob. I'll tell you that right now. Andrew says Matt Ryan. Really? Is Matt Ryan getting moved? I'll look this up. This is football, by the way, guys. Do we have a trade in football? How about that? How about that? So Matt Ryan is going to be moving from Atlanta, heading to Indianapolis to be the new quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. And it really is crazy to think about from the Colts perspective. They've had Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers. They've had Jacoby Brissett play for a while. Now Carson Wentz. And now they're getting Matt Ryan. And so the hope is with Matt Ryan being a pretty solid quarterback, I think he's better than Carson Wentz, that the Colts can really, really get themselves going and make a long run and try to win a Super Bowl. So, and for Atlanta, I think now definitely expect them to look for a franchise quarterback in this draft. They could not. They possibly won't, but who knows? Lauren says, Matt Ryan, all right. Jacob says, trade Smith, Riley Smith, Robin, and 2 first-round picks for a better goalie and a good fourth-line player. You're not getting that. You're not getting that. No way. No way in hell. Daniel says, that is sad. Kahkonen and Smith are embarrassing me. Well, that's pretty much on the management for why you're in that position, my friend. So it's tough. Sounds like Matt Ryan's going to Indianapolis for just a 2023 third-round pick. Wow. So that is a cheap deal. So that kind of screws over Baker Mayfield because I know Mayfield, he wanted to get traded and his top destination was Indianapolis. So I'm kind of curious to know what ends up happening with Baker Mayfield now with Indianapolis no longer being an option. Maybe Atlanta becomes an option because now they're looking for a quarterback. Jacob says, happy 40th birthday to Mike Shitty Smith. So Mike Smith has now reached 40 years of age, which I think just kind of gives you another hint to the Oilers to please go get somebody. Go get somebody. But I don't think they do. I really don't. But I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. Let's see if there's anything else going on right now because it's super dead. It's super dead with regards to NHL trades, not obviously with NFL. How many picks does Seattle have so far from just the trades? A decent amount. Now, we just got an update about 10 minutes ago. Colorado Avalanche are still heavily pursuing Jets forward Andrew Kopp. Jets want a first. Sounds like Avs don't want to pay that price. Another team has offered a couple of seconds, and the Jets have tabled the offer. So it looks like the Jets are definitely wanting to get a first-round pick for Andrew Kopp, but it seems like less and less likely that they will. So they may decide to just take a deal that gets them just a boatload of picks and kind of go from there. Avs are also out on Max Domi. So again, it sounds like Max Domi, if he does get dealt, will most likely end up in Carolina. Again, we will see what happens with that. We did get another update here. The Blackhawks are closing in on a trade that would send Ryan Carpenter to Nashville. So it sounds like the Blackhawks are not done just yet with some moves. Oilers are trading William Lagesson to the Montreal Canadiens. Don't know what the deal is yet. The Bruins are trading Zach Zenshin and a 2022 fifth to the Senators for Josh Braun. Wow, Josh Braun is on the move. Josh Braun is going to Boston and a 2022 conditional 7th-round pick. So we got a couple of moves that have just happened in the last couple of minutes. Again, more or less minor, but still, the moves are happening. If Zenshin plays 5+ games with Ottawa by the end of this season, Boston receives a 6th-round pick instead of a 7th. So we'll see what happens with that. I saw that Mike Smith is 40. He is indeed. Jacob says Coilers are a 2-man team in many ways. I agree. Connor McDavid and Kane or Draisaitl. I think it's more Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, Nathaniel. Jacob says Mick only good in the regular season and pissy Draisaitl. And then Nathaniel says, no, I love Laggy. Yeah, well, unfortunately, that deal has happened. The Oilers are trading William Lagesson to Montreal. Is that part? That can't be part of the same deal for Kulak, is it? It's just it can't be coincidence that they've just made now 2 moves in a row with Montreal. That's kind of weird. Very weird. Anything else going on? Anything? That's so strange. Let's see here. Let's go back to any sort of alerts. Nothing, again, nothing really to report at the moment, except the moves I just announced. I don't know. Nathaniel says, I have a signed stick of Huss. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Jacob says, Neil, where's your girlfriend? She's not my girlfriend for the upteen time, and she's at work. There's your answer to both of that question. Nathaniel says, CCM Super Tax AS4 Pro. It's a very good stick. Very good stick indeed, man. I hope you hold on to that long term, my friend. But excuse me, is it John Brown or Josh Brown? No, you say Josh Brown gets moves. That's kind of interesting. Yep, William Legason going to there. You got the whole thing. They're showing last year when Johnny Gaudreau left the ice at Flames practice last year, and everybody thought he was getting dealt, and he said, "I just had to pee." That was kind of a funny. That was kind of a funny moment in the whole grand scheme of things. But let's see here. Anything. Nothing much. Nothing much at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. We are still waiting to see if any other moves happen. It's currently 1:51 p.m. Eastern here, so we have a little bit more than an hour and 9 minutes exact. We're 1 hour, 8 minutes, 50 seconds to go in this trade deadline. And I will remind you guys again, just because the deadline comes doesn't mean that the trades are done, because if there are trades that are going on just before the 3 p.m. deadline, they could still go through and be processed even after the deadline. So that's why I may decide to end this stream around 3:15 to kind of wait to see if anything else kind of jumps in at the end. Jacob says, Neil, I got into a ball hockey fight today in gym. It started because I deked the whole team and I scored a one-handed tuck-in. I mean, that's a pretty funny way to end up starting a fight, but good for you, Jacob. Good for you. I'm glad you had yourself a very, very good day in gym class. Gym class was always a fun thing for me in school. Lauren says, my Ducks are getting closer and closer to trading Rickard Rakell. I wish we got rid of Dallas Eakins. Well, they may end up getting rid of both at season's end. Who knows, Lauren? But it looks like more and more Rickard Rakell might indeed get dealt. The good news is for everybody is that there's still over an hour left, so there's still the possibility that more moves could be on the way. We just had a couple just recently, so that's possible. Nathaniel says, come on, Oilers, pull a goalie, otherwise I will tear my Oilers jersey. All right. Jacob says, oh yeah, and the score was only 10-0. Very impressive, Jacob. Very impressive indeed. Let's do another refresh here. Does Elliot Friedman have anything for me? Yeah, the Sens Communication, they announced the deal. Josh Brown, 22 conditional 7th round pick, goes to Boston in exchange for Zach Session and a 2022 5th round pick. Frank Saravalli, you got anything for us, buddy? What you got? To the Oilers. So we got the official details of the trade earlier. To the Oilers. Oh, okay. So the William Legason trade is actually part of the Kulak trade. So that all becomes one. So the official trade is the Oilers get Brett Kulak in exchange for a 2nd round pick and William Legason. So that is the official deal between Montreal and Edmonton. So there you go. Anything else you got for me, buddy? You got nothing? Let's see if Pierre LeBrun has anything to mention. Pierre LeBrun, what you got? Here we go. Bob McKenzie. Well, he's just confirming the Legason deal. What's Bobby Margarita got to say? That's literally his name on here. It's hilarious. Worth noting, Legason needs 18 more games played in order to retain his RFA status. If he does not play 18 more games for the Habs, he will expire as a Group 6 UFA this summer. Instead, Montreal has 20 games remaining, so that's kind of something to keep in mind, as he just said. Andrew Cogliano is in San Jose, is a veteran who could move today. Colorado and Rangers are believed to be the most interested. Anything else here? Doesn't appear to be anything else major. Let's see if David Pagnotta has anything to report. Still waiting here. So let's see. Does he got anything? 69 minutes to the trade deadline. Nice. Very funny. Very funny indeed. Yeah, some talk. So here we go. Dave Pagnata 15 minutes ago. Some talk the Sharks are evaluating trade options for goalie James Reimer, who has one more year left at $2.25 million AAV on his contract after the season. I did hear that the Sharks probably would prefer to keep Reimer, but I think now with the fact that you've acquired Kahkonen, that may make Reimer more expendable. And the fact that there are teams out there that very well could want to have him not only for the rest of this season, but next year could make it so that the Sharks could potentially get a decent haul for him. So there's that. There's that to keep in mind. But we really don't have a whole lot going on at the moment. Devils fans continuing to get upset because the Devils haven't done anything, which I'm not surprised because that's what we do. That is what we do. Somebody was hoping that Zacha would get traded. Pavel Zacha would probably be the most likely that ends up getting traded from the Devils, considering he's an RFA and some teams have showed interest in him, so that's possible. Other than that, somebody says, why aren't the Devils doing anything? People are bored. I mean, look, at the end of the day, guys, I know that we always want to see big moves and go crazy and things like that, but sometimes these moves just don't happen. As I've said before, usually the deadline is about, rumors, and that's just basically it. We still we have a little bit more than an hour. It's 1:57 right now. We got an hour and 3 minutes until the trade deadline is over. So there still could be a lot of things that can happen between now and 3 o'clock. Jacob says, and I have been the goalie. I don't know why I left my net, but I did, and I scored. Very impressive, Jacob. Very impressive. Lawrence says, I won't bash Pat Verbeek, but I wish we kept Rickard Rakell, He was one of my favorite Ducks players. Well, he hasn't been traded yet. So even though there is talks and looks like it's leaning towards a trade happening, Lauren, it doesn't mean that it actually will happen. So I think that's something to keep working. Daniel says, I see. That makes sense. I don't know. Lawrence says, my favorite Rickard Rakell moment occurred in Game 5 against the Oilers in the playoffs when we were down 3-0 against them. Rakell made the game-tying goal to tie that game 3-3. Didn't the Ducks come all the way back to win that game, if I'm not mistaken, Lauren? I think they did. Jacob says, Seattle's now tied with the Oats for points this season with 44, so that's got to be a positive for Seattle. Jacob says, keep Pete in Pete we love. You talking about Pete DeBoer? I don't know, man. If you don't make the playoffs this year, do you really feel comfortable keeping Pete DeBoer? I mean, that's kind of a question that I would certainly have if I'm a Vegas fan. I'd say, well, yeah, do we, is that what we end up doing? I don't know. So, again, nothing's going on right now. It's, again, been really, really quiet over the last, couple of minutes. I mean, we did have a couple trades, but again, they were minor. Mark Spector saying, so we'll assume this will read Kulak to Edmonton for Lagesson and a conditional second either this year or next. So that's the most update we have on that trade between the Oilers and the Montreal Canadiens. Here we go. We got a new report. We got a new trade, guys. Frank Saravalli just reporting a minute ago, hearing the St. Louis Blues are acquiring defenseman Nick Leddy from the Detroit Red Wings. So two teams who have not made a move today yet are about to make a move right now. We don't know what the particulars are, anything like that just yet. We will see what happens over the next couple of minutes. But it sounds like Nick Leddy will be heading to the St. Louis Blues. Let's see here. Nothing from Bob McKenzie. I'm assuming David Pagnata's got to say something about this, right? If he heard it. Let's see if he says anything. The Blues are acquiring. Yep. Actually, he's got a couple of things here. He says, first, the Flyers have also been working on options for goalie Martin Jones. We'll see if they can get there. So it sounds like to me that maybe, just maybe, Martin Jones could be on the move. So keep an eye on that. And David Pagnata also just confirmed the Blues are indeed acquiring left defenseman Nick Leddy from the Detroit Red Wings. Jacob also says, yes, Pete, in Pete we trust. No. If they don't make the playoffs, then no. Jacob says, all my teachers are Vancouver Canucks or Canadiens fans, and they all hate Jack Eichel and Mark Stone. Kind of don't blame them in that sense. Lawrence says, we won Game 5 against the Oilers. My favorite Ducks moment right after the 06-07 championship run. I became a Ducks fan the year before that during the 05-06 season. That's very cool. That's very cool indeed. I like that you're giving me some background, Lauren. Very, very cool 100%. Jacob says, ding, 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 1 hour till deadline ends. Yes, it is currently 2 p.m. Eastern time exactly here. So we are now 1 hour away from the end of the NHL trade deadline. We're going to be on here for about another hour and 15 minutes or so, because then after the 3 p.m., we'll see if any other deals materialize. But we got 1 more hour to go, guys. So we'll see what teams end up doing between now and an hour from now. But before we continue, we're going to take a quick commercial break to get another word from our sponsors.
All right, teams, time to bet NFL games. Confidence.
I'm feeling a parlay with more legs than a spider.
So 9 legs.
Roll the dice, baby.
Indecision.
We pick one home favorite. I abstain.
You can't abstain.
Boring. 6-leg parlay, 2 home dogs, all hitting the over. Boom!
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and feel the NFL action like never before.
So once again, a big shout out to our sponsors at DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring this live stream and everything we do here at the Hockey Podcast Network. As always, guys, make sure when you sign up for DraftKings to use our promo code, which you can see in the bottom right corner here, THPN, and tell them Neil Villapiano sent you. So we are about 57 minutes away from the end of the trade deadline here in the NHL. We've had a couple of big moves with Giroux going over to the Florida Panthers. We have Ben Sherratt also going to Florida. We have Marc-Andre Fleury heading over to Minnesota. And those are some of the bigger moves that we've had in this deadline. And 2 of those didn't even happen today. So there's that. So again, nothing major has happened of late, so we'll see if things pick up here as the deadline approaches its end. But I also wouldn't be surprised if nothing else, major happens when this is all said and done. Nathaniel says this is so tense. It is kind of intense because we're all feeling and kind of waiting to see if there's going to be a big move. It'll just kind of suck if we end up getting very little to nothing. What's going on, BC Hockey Podcast? Good to see you boys. As always, those guys, Isha and Dylan, they will be live basically in about an hour, less than an hour. They'll be live at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific time, where they are for their noon lunch special on their YouTube channel. So go over to the YouTube channel, which you can see right here, BC Hockey Podcast. Go interact with them. They'll talk about the Vancouver Canucks moves that they've made, as well as the trade deadline as, in general. They say, who gets traded next, Neil? I think that it's going to be either somebody, I think it's going to be one of these 3 guys. Max Domi, I think Ricard Raquel, or Andrew Copp. I think those are the 3 most likely guys that could end up getting moved at some point here. That could be the next potential guys to get moved. Could we get a surprise? Absolutely. we do know for a fact that from a lesser perspective, Nick Leddy is indeed going from Detroit to St. Louis. So that's kind of like the next, if you want to say who's getting traded next, I guess you could officially say it's Nick Leddy going to the St. Louis Blues. But those some other names and some of the other bigger names that I think could be the next potential guys to end up getting moved. RJ saying Yankees are still up on the Phillies in their spring training game, 3-0 in the bottom of the second. And here on ESPN, they have just announced the Nick Leddy deal. Red Wings trade Nick Leddy to the Blues. We have not gotten word just yet as to who, what the Red Wings will get in return for him. So we will see what happens with that. Jacob just subscribed to the BC Hockey Podcast. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that, Jacob. Appreciate it. So yeah, we got less than an hour now, guys. And again, it's been relatively quiet over the last decent while here, other than some small moves left and right. So again, I don't have a good feeling that any major things are going to happen moving forward, but again, I could totally be wrong. But we'll see here. Reports, waivers today. Arizona has claimed Satiri, who's one of the goaltenders that Toronto put on waivers. Seattle claims Derek Pouliot. Vancouver claims Brad Richardson, and Peter Mrazek clears. So I'm not surprised that Mrazek has cleared. Riley Nash, Kyle Turris, Christian Jarosz, Kyle Clifford, all also cleared waivers. So there's that. Peter Mrazek, again, he cleared waivers. So again, nothing to report on that. Second plus Legason for Kulak is final deal per Bob McKenzie. So there's that. Do we have some other moves here? Still waiting on the Nick Leddy details. We do have a deal. The Canadians have traded Arturi Lehkonen, one of the under-the-radar moves. He is being traded, according to Kevin Weeks, to the Colorado Avalanche for Justin Barron and a second-round pick. So Lehkonen is moving from Montreal, heading over to the Cup-contending Colorado Avalanche. We also are getting a quick signing here. The LA Kings have signed Blake Lizotte to a 2-year extension worth $1.675 average annual value. And like I mentioned before, the Arizona Coyotes have claimed goaltender Hari Satiri off of waivers. And they also acquired, like I mentioned before, defenseman Derek Pouliot off of waivers. Vancouver Canucks have claimed forward Brad Richardson off of waivers. So those are some other moves that have just happened in the last few moments. And then as far as the deal for Nick Leddy, here is the official word according to Kevin Weeks. Red Wings trade Nick Leddy and Luke Witkowski to the Blues for a 2023 second. Oscar Sundqvist and Jake Wallman. Wow, Sundqvist, who was a major contributor to that Stanley Cup team in 2019. He is going from St. Louis to Detroit. So I think Sundqvist will probably have a chance to be more of a top 6 player with that young, very talented Detroit Red Wings team. Andrew's back in the chat. Good to see you, Andrew. BC said Vancouver claims Brad Richardson. Yep, just saw that just a moment ago. Thank you, guys. We got another deal here. Jacob, this actually involves the Vegas Golden Knights. It says the Golden Knights are working on trading forward Evgeny Dadonov. So there you go. We knew Dadonov, who has a pretty high AAV, was definitely a guy that I think the Golden Knights were going to look to try to move to clear some space. So it looks like they're right now in the process of making a deal to move him on. Don't know the team, don't know anything like that. That's right. But it looks like right now that Evgeny Dadonov is going to be the next guy that ends up getting moved. Let's see here. BC shouts out Jacob. Awesome. Andrew says, when I went to ESPN on my end, it's not on, only SportsCenter. Yeah, I'm actually watching this via ESPN Plus, and they have their own section for the point. So yeah, again, this just kind of shows that ESPN does not give a flying you-know-what about hockey. So there you go. Jacob says, what? No, not daddy. Natty Nov, as BC says, Daddy Nov. Yeah, I know that's his nickname. So Daddy Off is leaving Vegas. Don't know where he's going. Don't know anything about that. Let's see if I can get anything from Twitter, because some of the stuff I'm getting from Instagram, some of it I'm getting from Twitter. So things are happening left and right. Let's go to Elliot Friedman. We do have, what else we got here? Anything. Nick Leddy to St. Louis, Lehkonen to Colorado. Here are the claims. We already saw that. All those guys cleared. Detroit officially announcing that deal. Johan Larsson is going to Washington. Not sure exactly where he was coming from. So there you go. So we'll see what happens with that. So there's another move looking like it's going to happen anytime soon here. Frank Saravalli, what you got for us, boss man? Saravalli, here is the, let's see what else he's got. Yep. So, yeah, the official deal is Oscar Sundqvist and Jake Wallman, part of the deal going to St. Louis. Habs are trading Arturi Lehkonen in exchange for a top prospect and a pick. So, yeah, the deal is official. The Colorado Avalanche acquire Arturi Lehkonen from Montreal in exchange for Justin Barron and a second-round pick. So that's the next move. So now we got my man Bobby Margarita, a.k.a. Bob McKenzie. Let's see if he's got anything to say here. Doesn't look like anything. As once again, Kevin Weeks with one of those random trade announcements from a really random place. Currently, he's sitting on a ladder talking about the Nick Leddy deal, which is hilarious. David Pagnotta. Sometimes Pagnotta's got a deal, got something going on that nobody else does. Pagnotta, anything. Capitals get their. Sounds like Golden Knights are working on a trade involving Evgeny Dadonov. So I don't know if that's going to be the only move for Vegas at this point. Capitals getting their hands on a bottom six guy with Larsson going to Washington. So there's that. Andrew says, thanks for the updates. No worries at all. No worries at all. Happy to be doing this and hanging out with you guys here today. Got another move here. So that's what I mentioned before. The Coyotes are trading for Johan Larsson to the Capitals. We will see what the official word with regards to the deal and all that stuff is. So keep an eye on that. So, we'll keep an eye on that. Jacob is not happy with Dadonov going. 3-0 Yankees over the Phillies on the top of the fourth. Thank you for that update, RJ. Appreciate it, my friend. Let's take a look at some other stuff. Let's see if we can get anything here, because would like to know if we got anything going on. Let's see here. Andrew said, "What are you doing tonight? Any stream games tonight?" There are currently, as far as I see, doesn't look like there's any games going on today that we're doing a live stream for. But I will be back on here tomorrow night doing a live watch along of the Devils versus Rangers game. So make sure you guys tune in for that live watch along here in the Hockey Podcast Network. Tomorrow, the stream will start at 7 p.m. Eastern. Boston plays Montreal, Vegas plays Minnesota, and Edmonton plays Colorado, and Nashville takes on Anaheim. Those are the 4 games that are happening today, later on, once the trade deadline has officially come and gone. And I'm still waiting for Devils fans to completely flip the hell out because we're not doing anything. I'm not even upset that we're not doing anything. That's kind of the thing. That's kind of where I'm at with the whole situation. Yep. So then I have heard absolutely nothing from rumors to of course trade wise for the Devils. That makes sense because the Devils are not going to do anything, as I've mentioned several times now, and I wish people would just understand that, because it's not going to happen. Andrew says that's a bummer. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, guys, sometimes we just, everybody's got, such a busy schedule. We do try to do as many as we possibly can here on the Hockey Podcast Network. But guys, we're going to have more as this year goes along, certainly once we get into the playoffs. So guys, we're only getting started here, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, ESPN's actually talking with Claude Giroux, who is now an official member of the Florida Panthers. Panthers certainly been, I guess you'd say right now, the winners of the trade deadline are the Florida Panthers, considering the moves that they made with everything that's going on. Certainly believing that they can make a long run into the playoffs. ESPN's announcing a trade alert, but I love how the NHL crew is actually announcing the trade that Matt Ryan is going from the Atlanta Falcons to the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for a 2022 third-round pick. Adam Schefter, Chris Mortensen, and Diana Rossini of ESPN report that in the NFL. So there you go. Andrew says, that's a bummer. for the Devils. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a bummer because, like I said before, the two UFAs, if you want to talk about from a selling perspective, the two UFAs the Devils have are PK Subban, who has $9 million left on his contract, and nobody wants that. Nobody can afford it, really. And you have Jimmy Vesey, who maybe early in the year could have had some value, probably doesn't have any right now. And anybody that probably has something, anybody who the NHL might be interested in is part of the Devils' core long term. So that could be that. The Devils could very well be calling around to see if they could buy somebody if they feel like a move needs to be made, but doesn't appear to be anything right now. So we got 45 minutes to go here, ladies and gentlemen, until the end of the deadline. And again, does not really seem like anything is going to happen anytime soon. But again, you never know. We'll continue to keep you guys updated as we move along here. There's got nothing happening with what's going on. Emily Kaplan says, the Anaheim Ducks are shopping offers on Rickard Rakell right now. I can report Boston and Vegas are in advanced talks. Believe the Rangers were involved at one point. Not sure if they're still in it. So it sounds like the Vegas Golden Knights could indeed end up being somewhat buyers. Maybe Dadonov is part of the deal that could get the Vegas Golden Knights Rickard Rakell. So let's stay tuned to that. Nothing else really to report right now. Again, Peter Mrazek did clear waivers. I doubt, honestly, that he ends up getting moved. He ends up going anywhere, but could be wrong. Could totally be wrong about that. It doesn't sound like to me that Jake DeBrusk is going to get moved. Again, it's more likely that he ends up getting moved in the offseason. I know that he still wants to be traded, so that's something to keep in mind. Again, I think a lot of those big moves, exciting moves that you guys want to see, I don't think we're going to get right now. Montreal is going to be retaining 50% on Lehkonen in the Colorado deal, so that just makes it even that much better for Montreal. That was according to Elliot Friedman. As far as Frank Saravalli is concerned, he just retweeted Peter Baugh, who also says Montreal will retain 50% of Artturi Lehkonen's contract per source. Bob McKenzie, does he have anything to report? I doubt it, but let's take a look. He says, we do have a deal. We do have a deal. According to Bob McKenzie, he says the San Jose Sharks are trading Andrew Cogliano to the Colorado Avalanche. Details to follow. So we do have another deal that is coming along in just a few short moments. Sharks making their second or third deal so far here. Pagnotta has nothing to report at the moment. So people are continuing to say, why are the Devils doing nothing? Because this is exactly what I expected. DeWall says Halak, maybe Yaroslav Halak, I heard, is willing to move his no trade clause, but it doesn't sound like he has any suitors right now. So that's going interesting. So we'll see if things change from that. But yeah, it doesn't look like Cogliano is going to the Rangers. That was one of the teams I was interested in him. Sounds like Colorado is going to end up getting him. But definitely, they're coming. The Avalanche are trying to balance out their team and try to make themselves a really good run in the playoffs. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see if my boy Kevin Weeks got anything, because this man comes out with random stuff. Well, not random. He just comes out and says it. Got nothing at the moment. Just going to be randomly going around and tweeting and all that jazz. So there's that. But doesn't really seem like anything's happening right now, except obviously that last move I just mentioned. But again, we still have about 40 minutes or so before the deadline officially comes to an end. And we will continue to stay on here and continue to give you guys updates. And then obviously at the end, we'll probably do a quick recap of some of the major moves that have happened, or just the moves in general, depending on what you guys want to see. But nothing good is, again, and we get another word here that Cogliano is going to the Colorado Avalanche. So that's a move that is certainly happening. But I got nothing. I'm kind of curious, just kind of looking at it for the Devils' perspective, if there's anything, but I doubt it. I mean, I want something that, selfishly, I would love to see the Devils make a move that will benefit the team the rest of the way, but I don't think anything happens. TSN having a meltdown on the Leafs goaltending situation. Very pleasing to watch. NHL Watcher said that. Looks like, again, I don't think anybody from the Devils is going to end up getting moved at any point in this one. And I'm sure people are going to get upset about it. What's going on here? We got to move? Sounds like potentially, I don't know. No, it doesn't look like there's anything there. Rangers are apparently in deep conversation with the Jets regarding Andrew Kopp. They are now seen as front runners to acquire him. So that's coming from Kyle Hall at Kyle Hall, New York. So that's something. The thing that's driving me nuts about watching the Devils fans in here is that everybody is getting so worked up and mad that the Devils are doing nothing when the Devils don't really have anything to offer. I mean, I don't know what you want to say. It is kind of, I guess the only thing that I would say people would want to really see is probably the Devils trying to get some form of a goaltender to play out the rest of the year. Oh my God. Wait a minute. We just got word that Rickard Rakell has been traded to the St. Louis Blues. Where did that come from? That was according to what I just saw on ESPN here. Let me see if I can get information on that. Nothing according to Elliot Friedman. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see if Frank Saravalli has anything to say about this. I'm going to go to Kevin Weeks in a moment because I think, but going back to the Andrew Cogliano trade, confirming the Sharks are trading Andrew Cogliano to the Avs for a 2022 fifth round pick. Bob McKenzie was the first to report this, and I did confirm that. Let's see here. Yep, fifth round pick. So there's that. David Pagnotta, you got anything for us, buddy? Let's see if you got anything for us. Sharks trading. Yep, that's so strange. How the hell did they make a mistake? Did they make a mistake? Because Kevin Weeks was just talking about it. Hold on. Nothing here. Where did Rickard Rakell to the Blues come in? Wait a minute. Did they make a mistake? Rickard. I can't believe I'm spelling his name wrong. Let's see here if anything is coming up. Oh, this is from Emily Cap. Oh, no, that was an hour ago. That was like 30 minutes ago. Where the hell did that come from? I'm not going to confirm anything until I see it because I got nothing right now. Let's see. What is the latest? Let me get the latest because that just came out of left field. Yeah, I don't see anything. Was that a rumor? That was weird. That was really weird. I don't know where that came from because nobody has reported anything like that about Rickard Rakell. It just popped up right then and there, and I was like, where did that come from? So let me keep looking here because, again, I don't see anything. I'm going to keep looking. But this is strange. Again, we got the Cogliano deal, so there's that. Somebody said, if you pick up the phone to Stevie Y, you've already lost. That's probably true because I don't know why people want to make deals with Steve Yzerman because you know he's probably going to find something. Here's the official trade for Johan Larsson. The Coyotes have traded Johan Larsson to the Capitals for a 2023 third-round pick. So there's that move. Cogliano has been traded to the Avalanche for a 2022 fourth-round pick. Let's keep looking here. I'm going to see if Chris Johnston has anything to report because he can sometimes have something. Here, find Chris Johnston because he'll give me something. So let's see here. Chris, what do you got, buddy? You haven't tweeted anything. Oh, no, you have. Look like you hadn't tweeted anything at all. But nothing about Rickard Rakell. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why it popped up. I don't know if Kevin Weeks was the first on it. I'm gonna refresh again and see if he tweeted anything. He's talking right now, but yeah, nothing. Doesn't seem like it. Let's see if I can hear anything.
They're the Wild now for me. Since Billy's taken over.
Yeah, they're just talking about the Minnesota Wild and that deal for and that deal there. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like anything's happening right now. It's nothing. It's nothing. We still got a little bit more than a half hour, guys. We got a little bit more than a half hour to go in this trade deadline. And the big moves that we expected, we've seen some of them. We've still seen some of them. Oh, NRD Rumors Daily is really good on Twitter as well. He really does a good job because he's got some really good insights. He just says, great show, Neil. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that, man. Yeah, it's just kind of a unique live stream that we're doing. The only reason, guys, I haven't been showing you like what I'm seeing is mainly because the last time I did it, for some reason, my screen froze and all that stuff, and it was like not responding. So I just don't want to make that mistake again, but I am going to continue to give you guys updates when I get them. As see here again, nothing to report, really. Nothing to report. It's kind of disappointing. Kind of disappointing because I want to see something else happen. But let's go to NRD. Let's see what he has to say. Still keeping my eye on Andrew Kopp and the New York Rangers. Perhaps a package of a couple picks and a sweetener. That was back 3 minutes ago. Let's see what else is going on. Nothing else. Nothing else. Yeah, like nothing else is really going on right now. It's kind of things have definitely quieted down just for my own fun because I'm fun. I just want to check Devil's Twitter again to see if they do anything. Let's go with latest. I got nothing. Nothing really. Yeah, it's not looking like the Devils will do anything, and I can't wait for people to flip the hell out because they think it's ridiculous. I can say that Christian Jaros has cleared waivers, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know if he'll go back down to Utica or something like that. But yeah, because I'm sure people will have wanted to ask me about the Devils. Again, I don't think they end up doing anything, to be quite honest with you. Because I just don't think there's anything out there that I think that if they're trying to make deals, they may not have a deal that they really like or anything like that. They may just be focusing on the offseason. The only thing that I do kind of would be critical of is just the simple fact of, isn't there somebody out there from a goaltending perspective, even as like a free agent, that we could just bring in to allow Nico Daws to go back down? Or do they really, really want to keep John Gillies? I mean, I don't know. It bugs me. That's the only thing that irks me about this, but other than that, there really isn't a whole lot that's going on. I'll keep updating I'll keep refreshing Twitter as best as I can, see if I get anything right now. We do have a trade. According to Darren Dreger, he says Zach Sanford is going to Ottawa. Is going from Ottawa to Winnipeg, excuse me. So there you go. So we have another trade. Shout out to Darren Dreger. So we got that. Let's just go through the order of refreshing. We'll start with Elliot Friedman because I like Elliot Friedman. He hasn't tweeted anything in the last almost 20 minutes. Frank Saravalli, what does he have? He was talking about the Andrew Cogliano deal from San Jose to Colorado. Let's see here. Let's see here. Darren Dreger again. Zach Sanford traded from Ottawa to Winnipeg. David Pagnotta, what does he have? Pagnotta, nothing. Sharp. Yep. He confirmed the same thing that McKenzie did on the Cogliano deal. Chris Johnson saying further to Darren Dreger's report, Winnipeg sends a 22 fifth-round pick to Ottawa for Zach Sanford. So the official deal is Zach Sanford to Winnipeg in exchange for a 2022 fifth-round pick going back to Ottawa. So a minor deal there. We'll refresh on Darren Dreger because he's good. He was talking about he was good on that. Other than that, it's been quiet again. It's been quiet again. Let's go Kevin Weeks. See if he's got anything for me. I have some, right? Gotta have something. Anything at all. You gonna retweet something? Oh, he does have breaking news. Oh God, he has a trash can on his head, tweeting this out. This might be the most creative shtick that I've ever seen someone like Kevin Weeks do, where he's just basically doing different videos every single time, announcing different deals. This one, he has a plastic garbage pail over his head. It says breaking news: Arizona Coyotes trade Larson to the Capitals for a third-round pick in 2023. So there's that. NHL Trade Tracker, they're not going to end up telling me jack diddly squat. They're just going to update when you get official terms on things. But yeah, this has been interesting. But we have about a half hour now, ladies and gentlemen, until the end of the trade deadline. It comes to an end at 3 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see if things pick up here in the last half hour. But before we continue, guys, we are going to step aside for another moment to get another word from our sponsors at DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, team, time to bet NFL games. Confidence.
I'm feeling a parlay with more legs than a spider.
So 9 legs.
Roll the dice, baby.
Indecision.
We pick one home favorite. I abstain.
You can't abstain.
Boring. 6-leg parlay, 2 home dogs, all hitting the over. Boom!
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and feel the NFL action like never before.
So again, a big shout out and thank you to our sponsors at DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring this live watch along and everything we do here at the Hockey Podcast Network. Make sure when you sign up for DraftKings to use our promo code THPN. So we got a little bit under a half hour. It's currently 2:33 p.m. Eastern time until the end of the trade deadline. We had some bigger moves earlier this morning, but over the last couple of hours, things have kind of been little bit quiet. 27 minutes, 27 seconds exactly to go here in this deadline. What's going on, Andy? Good to see you as always, buddy. Hope you're doing well today on this Monday afternoon. Leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. Really does help out the channel tremendously. Jacob, are you in here? Yes, he is in here. Hello, THPN friends. Andy says, great to see you, buddy. Jacob, obviously he is in here 100%. Andy says, cool, I'm at work, LOL. No worries, man. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Jacob says, Vegas Golden Knights do something. Again, we did hear that it sounds like Evgeny Dadonov is going to be on the move. I think it's a question of where he ends up getting moved to. So let's keep in mind with that. Ottawa Senators are trading, as I mentioned before, Zach Sanford to the Winnipeg Jets for a 2022 fifth-round pick. And speak of the devil, Jacob, the Golden Knights are working on trading Evgeny Dadonov to the Anaheim Ducks. Now, the Golden Knights had shown interest in Rickard Rakell. So I wonder if Rickard Rakell is potentially involved in this deal. But as of right now, it is being reported that Evgeny Dadonov will be on his way to Anaheim, and we'll see what the return is for him. So we might get a big deal here in the next couple of minutes. So let's keep an eye on that. Elliot Friedman got nothing right now. This was according to Nick Alberga, by the way. Let's see here. Sarah Valley has nothing new. Nothing from Bob McKenzie. David Pagnotta, does he have anything? Pagnotta says nothing. Chris Johnston. Let's see here. Nothing so far. But yeah, it doesn't. But again, this is also coming from Nick Alberga, who I think covers the Ducks. I got to double check on that. But Darren Dreger, does he have anything? Darren Dreger has tweeted nothing. Nothing new. Let me put it that way. Let's see what my boy Kevin Weeks has said. Kevin Weeks, nope, he still has only tweeted about the Larson thing was the last thing. So, yeah, according to Nick Alberga, the Golden Knights are in the process of trading Evgeny Dadonov to Anaheim from Vegas. So keep an eye on that. So let's keep an eye on that as Jacob says, yes, indeed, that is something to keep in mind. Per David Shane, the Anaheim Ducks have acquired Evgeny Dadonov. But again, we don't know what the deal is for. We don't know where he ends up going. So let's keep an eye. Again, we're going to keep an eye on that moving forward. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So we'll see here if anything continues to materialize. Got nothing. Nothing really. It's pretty much where we're at right now. Reminder, and I want to, this is from Devils.fan page. It's one of the main Devils fan pages on Instagram. I said this before, but I'll just read this to you. He says, a reminder that trades will still be announced after 3 p.m. They just have to be completed by the GMs by 3 p.m. and submitted to the league. Things should be completely calmed down by 4 or 5. So again, the deadline to start a deal and finalize and send it to the league is 3 p.m. That does not mean that trades are done exactly at 3 p.m. So I will be probably signing off at around 3:15, but I'm hoping that maybe something else happens in that time frame. But once we get to about 3:15, I will probably do a recap of this whole thing, as we currently have exactly 23 minutes to go here, ladies and gentlemen, in this one. So again, it's interesting. It's interesting how things have kind of quieted down a little bit. Well, not a little bit. It's quieted down a bunch. But again, there could be the potential that things are in the process of happening over this next time. And again, we could definitely see another move or two at 4 or 5. Who knows? Who knows? It's important to keep your eye on it and go from there. Again, talking about the that one trade, the Zach Sanford trade. Nothing to report again from anything else. Got nothing so far. It's kind of interesting, so we'll keep an eye on things. But yes, again, very quiet of late. Do another refresh here. Elliot Friedman, does he have anything to say? No. This is when it's tough, when really things have kind of gone to a standstill and nothing is going on. Frank Saravalli again confirming Sens are sending Zach Sanford to the Winnipeg Jets for a 22 fifth-round pick. Bob McKenzie, he has said, he just retweeted Chris Johnson saying, further to Darren Dreger report, Winnipeg sends a 5th-round pick to Ottawa for Zach Sanford. We're still waiting on more words with regards to Evgeny Dadonov. I'm sure we'll get more context as we go along here. Nothing on Chris Johnson. Darren Dreger, does he have anything? No. Kevin Weeks. They just went to commercial break, so we'll see if Kevin Weeks actually said anything about this. Kevin Weeks got nothing. So yeah, we're kind of at a standstill right now. But again, we've got about 20 minutes to go here. And again, one more time, I will reiterate this. Once we get to 3 p.m., what that will basically mean is this. Nobody can start a new trade and finalize it at that point. if you are in the workings to make a deal, you have to still be in the workings to make it and finish it and send it to the league by 3 p.m. That's why we have the deadline. BC Hockey Podcast says, what team walks out of trade deadline the winners? This is actually a really, really good question. I said it before that my first pick would be when you look at what Florida has done, acquiring Ben Sherratt, acquiring Claude Giroux. They acquired another piece as well on the defensive side. I think that they upgraded in both facets there because they definitely would like to add some pieces to make their offense more potent, their defense a little bit more solid, especially with Aaron Ekblad potentially being out long term. So I think that the Florida Panthers were certainly one of the more active teams here at this deadline, and I think they definitely come away as winners. I think to an extent, Minnesota comes away as winners because, again, they didn't have to give up a whole lot from a draft pick perspective to acquire Marc-Andre Fleury from Chicago, but unfortunately, they did have to trade away their young goaltender Kaapo Kahkonen to San Jose. But I still think that Minnesota feels very strongly about their chances of making a deep run in the playoffs, and they wanted to get a guy that would be comfortable coming here and feeling motivated, and being paired with Cam Talbot actually isn't that bad, even though Talbot is still a little bit questionable. But I think overall it's good. And then you bring in Delorier as well. I think that beefs up your physicality a little bit. I think makes you a little bit more of a playoff ready team. So I think that those would be the two teams. I like what Tampa did, although they gave up a crap load of picks, but they don't really care because they've won the last two cups. They bring in Brandon Hagel, who could bring some really solid scoring to their bottom six, like they did when they acquired someone like Blake Coleman at the deadline a couple of years ago. So he'll certainly help them out in that sense. Colorado, I think, did pretty well with regards to getting, Lehkonen and Cogliano. They kind of help out there. So those would be the teams. So I'd say like Florida, Minnesota, Colorado as well, I think is really, really good. Other than that's about it. I like that Vancouver got Travis Dermott. I think that's actually kind of a nice move. I think it is a little bit of a surprise that Vancouver did make a move. They've made two. They traded Travis Hamonic to Ottawa. But other than that, they kind of stayed put with some of their major moves. And like I said before, guys, from Vancouver's perspective, if they're going to make major moves to move guys to create cap space off season, I'm telling you right now, this is going to be one of the most exciting off seasons because there's going to be so many more major moves with major pieces going left and right. The deadline sometimes just doesn't bring us a whole lot. Again, the Sherratt move, the Claude Giroux move, they happened well before the deadline. Tyler Toffoli got traded over a month ago. That stuff already happened. The Fleury move, that was probably going to be something that we all knew was going to happen, at this deadline or not happen at all. And it ended up happening at this deadline. That's the biggest move we've seen today. We saw that Jake DeBrusk got a 2-year extension. I mean, it's most likely he'll still be traded, but probably not today. He'll probably end up getting moved at the offseason. So he's another guy that you got to look at. Brock Besser's probably going to get moved at the offseason if the Canucks decide to not keep him. Things like that. So I don't think any other major moves are happening except I think Andrew Kopp is still going to end up getting dealt. It's just a matter of what are the particulars of it all and things like that. So I would say still keep an eye on Andrew Kopp here. But that is my long-winded answer to that question, BC Hockey Podcast. And thank you so much for the support, guys. Really, really do appreciate it. By the way, the Jake DeBrusk extension is a 2-year deal worth $8 million. So he's making $4 million over the next 2 years. So that might make him a little bit more valuable for teams who are looking for term. For Jake DeBrusk, first 43 games of the year, he had 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points. His last 14, he's at 8 goals, 3 assists for 11 points. So he's had relatively a disappointing season, and maybe that's partially why teams maybe didn't go after him as heavily. So that could always be the case. We'll see here if we got anything. The Sharks are now making another move as they are trading Nick Merkley to the New York Rangers for Tony Bitetto. So another minor move there. Earlier, Ducks traded Hampus Lindholm to the Bruins. That happened back on Saturday. Anaheim receives a 22 first, a 2023 second, a 2022 second as well, and also 2 defensemen. And then right after that, Lindholm signed an 8-year extension worth $52 million, $6.5 million cap hit through 2029-30, full no movement clause through 2026-27, $37.6 million in total salary over first 5 seasons of deal. So again, big money deal for a very talented defenseman right there. But again, I'm also surprised that a team like Vegas hasn't done anything. I don't know what they're going to do. Definitely keep an eye on them over the next little while here. But that's the latest move that we got, which again is a minor one. Nick Merkley traded from the San Jose Sharks to the New York Rangers for Tony Bitetto. And I think the reason why the Rangers are not as active, as we have 14 minutes, 40 seconds to go here in this trade deadline, I think it's mainly just because the Rangers don't want to give up their big assets just yet to make a run. I think that they want to keep the core that they have, go from there, and then maybe make adjustments in the offseason. I think that can be said also for a lot of teams right now, considering the situations that they're all in. Let's see what else we got going on. Do we have anything else? We do have a trade. We do have a trade for the Devils. The Devils have apparently acquired goaltender Andrew Hammond for Nate Schnarr. I think from what? Montreal? Interesting. Let's see here. I got to look this up now. I think we do have a trade from the Devils. I think we do. Let's see. Let's see if I get any updates here. Let's see. Yes, here we go. We did just get an official word. The Devils have acquired goaltender Andrew Hammond from Montreal in exchange for Nate Schnarr, which some people are against it. Some people don't know how to feel about it, but there it is. So the Hamburglar is going from Montreal to New Jersey in exchange for prospect Nate Schnarr, which kind of sucks a little bit because Nate Schnarr is actually a pretty decent prospect in Utica. But the Devils have made their first in what could potentially be their only trade of the day. So they make it at 2:47 or 2:45. So 15 minutes prior to the deadline, they make a deal. So the Devils look like they have a goaltender that can play the rest of the season, as I'll double check on Andrew Hammond's contract. Just because I'm curious to see what his deal is. He did sign a 1-year deal this year back when he was with the Minnesota Wild for $750,000. So Andrew Hammond is definitely the type of goaltender that I think was expected the Devils to try to go after, because he could just play with the team the rest of the year, and then they can regroup with the goaltending after that. So we do have a minor deal for the Devils' perspective, and I think I'm actually kind of relieved that the Devils made a move to acquire a goaltender. Again, it's fine. Like, getting Hammond is fine. It's totally fine. He's not terrible. Let's see how people react to this. Yeah, no, people are they're like, they did a thing. We got fleeced. He got traded for future considerations. Don't judge me after okay. Yeah, people are like, they don't know how to feel about this. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. Interesting. But the good news is, let me just get some more fact check here. Yep. Yeah, we're good. We are good. But the good thing is that, oh my God. No, we do have a trade. We have a major trade, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Kopp to New York Rangers, heating up. Rangers may also be working on Tyler Mott, ladies and gentlemen. So BC, keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on this, because it sounds like Tyler Mott from Vancouver might be on the move, as we have 11 minutes to go here in the deadline. But it sounds like that. But again, yes, Andrew Hammond is going to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for Nate Schnarr. So there's that. But the reason that I like it from a Devils perspective is because our young goaltender, who could definitely be one of our franchise guys moving forward, Nico Daws, can now go back to Utica, play the rest of the season down there, and just have both Hammond and Gillies play the rest of the season to finish out the last 19, 20 games. And I'm cool with that. Totally cool with that, 100%. But it sounds like Andrew Kopp might indeed be heading to Broadway. But let's hear if I can get any other word on that. Let's see here. Canadians are trading Andrew Hammond to the Devils for Nate Schnarr. Doesn't look like Phil Kessel will be traded, so it sounds like Kessel will remain with the Coyotes the rest of the season. The Winnipeg Jets are trading Andrew Kopp to the New York Rangers, according to Darren Dreger. The New York Rangers are working on trading for Canucks forward Tyler Mott. So is this a 3-team deal? Let's see. Where is Daddy at now? Well, currently Evgeny Dadonov is being traded to the Anaheim Ducks, but again, we still don't know what the particulars of that deal is just yet, Jacob, so we'll see. Also, again, guys, Terry Ryan will be live here on the Hockey Podcast Network at 5 p.m. Eastern. So after I'm done, I have a little bit of a 2-hour break, and then Terry Ryan will do a live Q&A. You can ask him about his thoughts on the trade deadline as well. So let's do now a major Twitter update. We'll go with Elliot Friedman first. Yes, he tweets out just 4 minutes ago, Andrew Kopp and New York Rangers heating up. So that sounds like a deal is all but guaranteed to happen. Confirming Andrew Kopp is being traded to the New York Rangers. First to report it was Darren Dreger. Bob McKenzie. Let's see what he has to say if he's got anything further. Okay. He hasn't said anything of late. David Pagnotta. What has he got? He's got Andrew Kopp is going to New York Rangers. Deal agreed upon. Okay. He also did say Montreal trading Andrew Hammond to the Devils. So there's the Hamburglar going to New Jersey. So that's kind of a fun thing. So that's all he's got. Chris Johnston, the most recent thing he has is, again, he's retweeting. Well, first of all, what else do you have? He retweeted the Devils saying that they've acquired Andrew Hammond from Montreal to exchange for Nate Schnarr. Darren Dreger said all indications are Andrew Kopp is heading to the New York Rangers. Rangers may also be working on Tyler Mott, again reported. So there's that. Let's see here. All indications, Andrew Kopp heading to the New York Rangers. So that's what we got right now. We still don't have an update as to what the particulars of the deal are. We'll get it as soon as we possibly can. Again, Potato going to the San Jose Sharks. Let's see here. Again, the Devils did just announce Andrew Hammond being traded from Montreal to the New Jersey Devils from Montreal for Nate Schnarr. So we have at least one deal, but that's probably going to be the only thing. Jacob says, drops the F-bomb. And again, we still don't know about Evgeny Dadonov. I got no word right now, so that's kind of interesting. Let's keep an eye on that. Devils.fan page giving his thoughts on the Andrew Hammond deal. He says, not sure how I feel about that. It's a minor trade regardless. Only reason fits me is because we clearly need a goalie. I like Schnarr. He has 26 points in 42 games this year. Hammond is the Hamburglar. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. He's played in 4 games in Montreal recently. His first time in the NHL action since 17-18. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Devils are confirming it on their Instagram account as well. So there's that. So we got that. Then we're still waiting on the Andrew Kopp details. Once we get it, we'll let you know what the deal is with that. But it sounds like Andrew Kopp is heading to there. Danelle says Hammond to the Devils for Schnarr. Who's that? Andrew Hammond. He's a goaltender that he's recently been playing in the Montreal Canadiens farm system. He hasn't played full-time in the NHL since 17-18. And look, to be quite honest with you, Danelle, he's just a goaltender that is going to be playing for the Devils until the end of the season to allow Nico Daws to go back down to Utica and just try to get us through the last 19, 20 games of the regular season. That's basically it. It's a very, very minor deal. And Nate Schnarr went the other way. Devils traded Nate Schnarr to Montreal for him. So there's that. So at least the Devils made some move today. I don't know how to feel about it, but it is what it is. The Canucks have, according to Frank Saravalli, the Canucks have traded Tyler Mott to the New York Rangers. Again, the Jets have traded Andrew Copp to the Rangers as well. So again, we'll see. Danelle says, I know who Hammond is. I just don't know who Schnarr is. Schnarr is a prospect that we've had in our system. He's had 26 points in 42 games in Utica. So he's just another young prospect that we have. Maybe he's not considered to be one of the top prospects that we have, so it's not a major deal that we made. As we have exactly 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, to go in this deadline here again. I don't know if any other major moves except the Cop one looks like it's going to happen. But again, things could certainly change. Keep an eye on it as always. Still waiting on the whole details for Cop and also Tyler Mott. So both of those deals are definitely going to happen. Even if they happen after 3 o'clock, we know for a fact that those guys are getting moved. I'll have to make some posts on Devil's State of Mind in a little bit later on about Andrew Hammond. So that'll be kind of a funny move there. I'm sure people will be like, eh. So it sounds like here, we did get an update. According to Frank Saravalli, he's hearing the Canucks have traded Tyler Mott to the New York Rangers for a 2023 fourth-round pick. So the Rangers, at the buzzer, basically, have made some more moves. Have definitely made some more moves. So it looks like Tyler Mott, another one of those under-the-radar guys, is going to end up getting moved. And another one of the under-radar guys, Andrew Copp, also looks like he is heading to the New York Rangers. Bob McKenzie, does he have anything? Nope. David Pagnotta. Let's see here. He has, again, now that was about 8 minutes ago that Andrew Copp to the Rangers. A deal has agreed upon. The question is, what are the Jets getting in return? Johnston, he just retweeted Frank Saravalli's tweet about Tyler Mott going to the Rangers for a 22 third-round pick. Darren Dreger, he says details on the Mott trade. Again, he is again retweeting what Frank Saravalli said. Kevin Weeks, let's see if he's got anything for us. Oh my, he does. He actually does. He just announced a minute ago that the Carolina Hurricanes have signed Kasperi Kotkaniemi to an 8-year extension. So a guy that was acquired a year ago, off as an RFA, he signed that 1-year deal, qualifying offer, and now he's going to be officially a long-term Carolina Hurricane as he will be signing an 8-year extension. So Kotkaniemi is now there, and they'll refresh the Devils to see if they did anything else. Probably not. Yeah, they haven't. Full trade details. Again, nobody seems to be really thrilled about it, but it's fine because it's just a deal for the rest of the season. So there's that. Rangers got, Nick Merkley is a former Devil. He was traded in the offseason for Christian Jaros. He went from New Jersey to San Jose. Rangers get Merkley from the Sharks and Kopp from the Jets. Yes, that is true. You're very so the Rangers making 3 moves in the last 15, 20 minutes. RJ saying it is now 4-0 Yankees over the Philadelphia Phillies in the top of the 6th of that spring training game. Thank you, RJ. I'm sure, RJ, you're also happy that the Rangers have made a lot of pretty good moves. Andrew Copp going to the Rangers. That's a good one. So we have less than a minute to go here in this deadline, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about there. Again, the Canucks have traded Tyler Mott to the New York Rangers for a 2023 4th-round pick. So I think I'll try to stay on until probably the official word on the Andrew Copp deal, and then we'll kind of wrap things up here as we are approaching. So we got about 30 seconds here, so we'll see what happens if anything. Keep my eyes on it. But things have certainly picked up in the last couple of moments. That is for damn sure. But it's tough. It kind of sucks to see. Nate Schnarr go because he was showing a lot of potential, but it's weird. So there's that. And that looks like it probably will be the only thing the Devils do at this deadline. So again, like I mentioned before, I've mentioned it several times. From the Devils' perspective, it looks like they won't do anything until the offseason. 2 seconds, 1, and it is now officially 3 o'clock. So that means that the NHL trade deadline is over, but that only means one thing. It means that if you do not have a deal that has been submitted and finalized and sent over to the NHL, the deal will not count. So right now, that's where we're at. But again, Andrew Copp is now the next big name that is being moved. And it's again, Jets trade Andrew Copp to the New York Rangers. I don't know. We still don't know who ends up going back to Winnipeg. As Danelle says, it is now officially 3 p.m. Eastern. 3 p.m. Eastern. This might be one of the longest things here. So I got 6. They're doing a countdown here. And yeah, it looks like it's like that. But Kevin Weeks has walked away from the set. It looks like maybe he might have something. We've done an update here. We'll probably be on for another 10, 15 minutes to get some more words. Tyler Mott, 2023 fourth round pick, going to Vancouver in exchange for him, as Mott will go to the New York Rangers. Again, Ellie Friedman saying Andrew Copp and New York Rangers are heating up. Frank Saravalli, anything? He says, pencils down, NHL trade deadline has passed. All deals must have been submitted to Central Registry and timestamped at 2:59:59. So any deals that were being made that have not been submitted yet are not going to count. No question, if you deals still to go in the queue, stay tuned. So that's the point. That's what we were trying to say before, that there still could be some other moves that need to be finalized, but that's about it. But no new deals can be started right now. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's where we're at right now. Bob McKenzie, outside of the Mott to New York Rangers trade, Vancouver did not make any other acquisitions after the 2 p.m. waiver wire claim on Brad Richardson. So that's that. So Tyler Mott will be heading to New York from Vancouver. Let's see here. David Pagnotta. Let's see if he's got anything. As ESPN is quickly recapping some of the moves that have happened in this one. It's 3 p.m. The NHL trade deadline has officially arrived. Again, Dave Pagnotta was on NHL Network a couple minutes ago confirming that Andrew Copp is going to the New York Rangers. So again, we will see if anything happens. We'll see what the deal is once we get to that point. Chris Johnston, he's saying Jacob Chikrin was not moved before the deadline. He remains with the Coyotes. So I think the Coyotes were smart about this because I don't think they were going to get the deal that they wanted. I think it will make way more sense when they have more time in the offseason to make a move. That's the way that I look at it. So Jacob Chikrin will remain with Arizona for the rest of the season. Darren Dreger. See if he has anything. Darren Dreger of TSN. He has, again, he was just sharing the details of the Tyler Mott trade. Again, Kahkonen signing a long-term extension, 8-year deal with Carolina. So that's another big kind of move there. But other than that, not much is going on. As I mentioned just moments ago, Rangers did get Tyler Mott from the Canucks for a 2023 fourth-round pick. What's going on, Nordson? Good to see you, buddy, as always. Hope you're doing well today on this Monday afternoon. Leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. Really does help out the channel. Andrew says, wow, what a trades today. It's insane, but not over yet for last hour. No. Again, any deal that had to be made and sent to the registry by 2:59:59. So that was just a couple minutes ago. So that means that any deal that was submitted, there still could be some deals in the works. We still have to wait on the news for Andrew Copp. So there's that. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this deadline. From my perspective, covering the Devils acquired Andrew Hammond from the Montreal Canadiens for Nate Schnarr. So there's that. Other than that, it's not, Marc-Andre Fleury heading to Minnesota. So in a moment here, we will recap some of the more major moves that have happened. And, then we'll kind of recap from there. But again, nothing really right now that's going on. Andrew says, I'm at the pool with my dad. That's awesome, man. Hope you're enjoying yourself. We'll see here. Get another quick update from Instagram. Sometimes Instagram gets me some stuff I need to see. So again, the official trade for the Blues was Nick Leddy and Witkowski to Detroit for Oscar Nick Leddy and Witkowski from Detroit to St. Louis, while Detroit acquires Oscar Sundqvist, Jake Wallman, and a 2023 second-round pick. Pierre LeBrun says PK Subban stays put. The Devils did not trade him. That makes a lot of sense. Tyler Mott, again, to New York Rangers for a fourth-round pick in 2023. And that's pretty much it. Not surprised, guys, that not surprised at all that PK Subban did not get dealt. The $9 million on the last year of his deal was just not going to be enticing, even if the Devils retained 50% of his salary. So that's kind of the situation with that. There's still the possibility that maybe he very well could be bought out and be allowed to go sign with anybody as a free agent. So there's that possibility. The other thing simply is that the Devils could just have him be on the team for the rest of the season, and then he will go somewhere else because the Devils made it publicly clear that they do not intend on bringing PK Subban back to New Jersey after season's end. So I'm going to do another refresh here to see if there's any sort of thing. We do have another deal. It sounds, according to Elliot Freeman, just 37 seconds ago, Rickard Rakell is being traded from Anaheim to Pittsburgh. So there's that. So we'll get some more details on that. I told you guys, just because it's after 3 doesn't mean that the deals don't stop. Hearing, again, Sarah Valley also saying that hearing the Anaheim Ducks are trading Rickard Rakell to the Penguins. So the Penguins are indeed making a big-time move. So that's kind of a thing. That certainly beefs up their scoring. So unfortunately for Lauren, Rickard Rakell is indeed going to be heading out of Anaheim. So Lindholm and Rickard Rakell end up being the big pieces that get moved from Anaheim. Phil Kessel did not get traded outside of Tyler Mott. That was already done. Vancouver done. Let's see here. David Pagnotta. Does he have anything of late? We'll see here. Ducks have traded Rickard. Oh, here we go. We got some more. He says Philadelphia is trading Derek Brassard to the Edmonton Oilers. Ducks have traded Rickard Rakell to the Penguins. Not sure if this is Anaheim's only move, so keep an eye on that. Let's see here. Chris Johnston. He's going with Rickard Rakell and the Peds for a prospect and a second-round pick. So not the greatest offer there, but it does look like indeed that Rickard Rakell is on his way to the Steel City. So he'll get a chance to play with Crosby, Malkin, and those guys. Darren Dreger has said nothing. Kevin Weeks, let's see if he said anything of late. Doesn't appear to be the case. We'll take a look again for some other moves here. Again, everybody's welcoming Andrew Hammond to New Jersey. So, at least hopefully he'll be half decent and kind of help us get through it. Below mid-deadline deal, my friend Sean is a big Devils fan. He says, below mid-deadline for the Devils. Should have traded Zacha, but getting a goalie is the only reason it wasn't a disaster. I think that's a fair point. Small sample for Andrew Hammond this year. He actually played in 4 games and won 3 of them. So he's 3-0-0. I guess he didn't. I guess he went into 1 of them. So there's that. That's kind of a funny thing with a 2.40 goals against average and a .920 save percentage. So that's kind of interesting. So there's that. He's 30, 15, and 6 in his career with a 2.31 goals against average and a .923 save percentage. So he's actually been pretty decent. So I think it's not the worst thing in the world. Some people say he's instantly our best goaltender. They should run Dawes and Hammond for the rest of the year. That also could be a possibility. I think you could do that. Yeah, that's about it. Still waiting on some other moves here. Some people are, I think Michael Russo says the Minnesota Wild do have one more trade coming. So it sounds like that there could be some other moves coming from Minnesota. It sounds like they're not, that's interesting. But unless a last-second trade has been completed, the Devils hold on to Severson, Zacha, Subban, and Vesey, the only guys that really were there. Andrew says, Devils didn't do anything that's good. No, they did do something. They traded Nate Schnarr, a forward prospect in their minor league system, to Montreal for goaltender Andrew Hammond. So that was the only thing, at least right now, that reportedly have the Devils done. Andrew says Andrew Copp didn't go yet. He hasn't officially gone yet, but he will be a New York Ranger. We are just waiting for the particulars as to what the Winnipeg Jets will get in return for him. So again, we are still waiting on to see what ends up being the case with that. Get another update here as best as I can. Nothing late. Again, PK Subban staying in New Jersey. Some people are upset about the Devils doing nothing but getting Andrew Hammond, and I don't really understand why. But it is what it is. But it seems like people are getting frustrated over that. So I don't know why people are getting so mad. There's only so much that we could do, but here's what I'll talk about this more on the podcast. The Blackhawks have traded Ryan Carpenter to the Flames. So there's that. Again, Rickard Rakell going to Pittsburgh. Anything on the Andrew Copp situation? Doesn't appear to be. Jacob Chikrin was not moved. Brassard going to the Edmonton Oilers. Flyers have traded Derek Brassard to the Oilers for a 4th-round pick. So I guess Edmonton gets a little bit more depth on that. So there's that. Devils get Hammond because of Gillies, which he's a terrible goaltender. I mean, you're stating the obvious. You're stating the very obvious that, the Devils definitely upgrade their goaltender position for the rest of the season. So Andrew Hammond will look to carry a decent amount of the load for the last 19, 20 games, and then we'll kind of restart with the goaltending moving forward. Let's see here. Chicago and Carolina talking Calgary talking Ryan Carpenter as the deadline hit. So there's that. Frank Saravalli, let's see what happens if he's got anything. Again, he's talking about Ducks trading Rickard Rakell to Pittsburgh. Still waiting on the Andrew Copp details. So there's that. Hearing that the Carolina Hurricanes made a late push for Max Domi right at deadline. Not sure if they got the deal done or not under the wire. Aaron Portzline said hearing talk that Columbus Max Domi could be on the move. So again, we talked about that earlier, that the potential that Max Domi could be on the move to Carolina. So it sounds like that deal could still potentially be in place. So we'll see what that. So that was from Bob McKenzie. Kind of talk about that. David Pagnotta, does he have anything to report? Kahkonen 8-year extension, $4.82 million AAV. So that's a pretty substantial deal, but I think it's a good one nonetheless for Carolina. Max Domi is indeed now heading to Carolina, as it sounds like they just got it under the 3 p.m. deadline. So it looks like Domi will be heading within the division to join the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's see here. Darren Dreger. Nothing on that. Kevin Weeks. Last thing he talked about was the extension that Kahkonen got. That still is the last thing he talked about. Other than that, again, sounds like not much. Not a surprise. Islanders stayed put. So it's interesting. Very interesting. That's pretty much it, guys. I mean, again, we're still waiting on the details for that. Why is this person saying that? Somebody just said Zaka, Vesey, and Subban are still in the mix. Oh, it's still in the mix for the Devils. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of weird to say that. Other than that, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't. We're still waiting on like just some particulars with some other teams. Yeah, it's interesting. But again, we're still waiting on the details for Rickard Rakell. We're still waiting on the details for Andrew Copp, and those are probably the two major moves. Maybe Minnesota apparently is going to make another move. We'll see. Islanders staying put. They didn't want to do anything at all. I mean, it's a year where they didn't really have much to give off, and sometimes you're just not going to get a whole lot of moves. RJ saying it's now 5-0 Yankees, top of the 7th in that spring training game. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for me for this special live stream of the NHL trade deadline. I know there's some other moves that are going to happen, but we've been doing this for over 3 hours now. Got to do some stuff for Devil's State of Mind and things like that. But thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with us today. Really do appreciate it. This was a lot of fun interacting with you guys. Again, some of the major moves: Claude Giroux heading to Florida from Philadelphia. Ben Chira also going there. Tyler Toffoli got traded. Marc-Andre Fleury indeed heading to Minnesota. Justin Braun heading to the Rangers. Andrew Kopp is definitely going to the Rangers as well. Rickard Rakell going to Pittsburgh. So it was actually a fairly decent trade deadline with some teams making some moves here and there. Nothing that's going to really go like holy crap, except maybe the Marc-Andre Fleury move. But those are really some of the main moves that we saw today. But again, guys, make sure to follow the Hockey Podcast Network on all social media at HockeyPodNet. Go check out all the podcasts here on the Hockey Podcast Network covering every single team in the NHL. Make sure to also like and subscribe here to the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel, doing live watch-alongs of every team in the NHL and all hockey-related content. Make sure you guys go check out the Devil's State of Mind podcast, in which I am the host of. New episodes every Monday and Thursday covering everything New Jersey Devils. We'll certainly talk about the deadline and things like that. Follow us on Twitter at Devil's State, Instagram at Devil's State of Mind, and like us on Facebook. Also, make sure to follow me on my personal Twitter at THENVPSHOW and my personal Instagram at NVPQB11. So again, thank you all so much for hanging out with us this afternoon for this special trade deadline live stream here on the Hockey Podcast Network. Terry Ryan will be live here on the Hockey Podcast Network at 5 p.m. Eastern, so less than 2 hours from now. And then we'll be doing a live watch-along of the Devils-Rangers game tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you in the next live watch-along. Everyone continue to be the awesome people that you are. And as I always say at the end of every single live stream / live watch-along, rock on.